a minute. Okay, there we go. I don't know how this shit gets changed around like that. Huh. Is Is that good? Can anybody hear me? Bro, that's fucking wild. Yeah, man, totally. No one has ever committed treason ever. It's absolutely not a thing that happens. Ow. I can't hear shit, but I heard something about some Karen Bass bitch. Girl. Okay. Boop. Hold up. Hold the fuck up. Hold on. Rewind. Wow. No way people are abusing people that are here illegally. That's crazy. It's almost like we should not have people that are here illegally. That way, people that don't have our rights and can be literally just shipped off if you get any problems out of them, like, that should just not be a thing. You shouldn't just be able to do shit like that for fucking obvious reasons. It's like such a conflict of interest. Yeah, come here and work for me, but if you say anything out of line, I'm gonna have you deported back to your country. Okay. But is it going to mean anything? Is it like pointless, frivolous shit? Or is it actual evidence of literally anything at all? Like laser beam? Okay. Boo, ad read. Sure it's not. Trust me, man. I definitely believe that this shit works, and I'm definitely, absolutely gonna buy some. Holy shit, I don't care. I'm not going to that either. What the fuck? Smooth. Is it not? Is that any better? Are you supposed to be working? No? Brother. Are you fucking with me? Is there audio? Actually, no, you're right. I can hear it right here. Why isn't it getting any? What is up with that? No. What is going on? Cause in here, in my shit, it says it's going. What the fuck? Yeah, I didn't get that either. Well, thank you for letting me know. See, it is nice to have friends. Let's try. What the fuck? No, it's not getting it there. I mean, they're set, yeah, but they're set, yeah, but they're set, yeah, but they're set, they're set, they're set, yeah. 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 I need you all to shut the fuck up. Okay. Let's go slam some shit into default settings. See, that's... Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing that.
Host my show at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I know. I figured it out. I'm just gotta get it like
o'clock on Rumble and
down a little
YouTube,
bit.
10 o'clock to midnight. Phone lines will be open.
There we go.
We'll take your phone calls if you have any strange stories you want to share with
It's
us.
always something.
And we'll be talking about a military jet that was hit by a UFO and declassified documents from 2023 that have just been released.
I
A lot.
completely
Awesome.
think
Good
that's
evening,
bullshit.
everybody. I am Alad Eliyahu, White House correspondent and field
Absolutely
reporter
do
here
not
at
believe that's a
Timcast.
thing.
Let's get into the news.
I just want to mention one quick thing, too, for those watching live on YouTube. They just launched that top fans feature, which apparently is the more you super chat and post, the more bonuses you get, and then it like gives you a crown if you're into that kind of thing. I thought it was funny. I'm excited we got it. It looks cool. We'll see what happens. But you know, we also got our Rumble
don't
rants
know
and
what
our
he's talking about.
members
I'm also not
only
in their chat,
exclusive
so-
Rumble uncensored show at 10 o'clock. Don't want to miss it.
Even is their chat?
Let's jump into the news. We got this from the New York Times. Biden says he made the clemency decisions that were recorded with AutoPen. Whew. I was worried there for a minute. You know, I thought for a second that Biden didn't actually do it. Oh, let me actually scroll down more than halfway through the story to find this. Mr. Biden did not individually approve each name for the categorical pardons that applied to large numbers of people. He and aides confirmed.
While that is dumb as fuck, I also understand that the president, you know, does have a limited amount of time. He can't exactly just sit here and sit through like thousands of names of people to pardon. So, I do think some of the people are kind of fucking sketch that he did let go though.
Rather, after extensive discussion with different possible criteria, he signed off on the standards he wanted to be used to determine which convicts would qualify for a reduction in sentence. Even after Mr. Biden made the decision, one former aide said, the Bureau of Prisons kept providing additional information about specific inmates, resulting in small changes to the list. Rather than ask Mr. Biden to keep signing revised versions, his staff waited and then ran the final version through the AutoPen, which they saw as routine. So they buried that halfway down. But there's a lot more. There's one.
Yeah, it's. What about that isn't shocking, like at all? The government, the people in the government are just like, yeah, man, this is just normal for us. This shit that is seemingly illegal and very morally questionable and ethically questionable, and just they just like whatever, man, just do it.
Let me see if I can get this one. This one's massive. This is the actual smoking gun. Mr. Biden completed the list of high-profile clemency decisions over 2 meetings, the emails show. One on January 18th included Mr. Zients, is that how you pronounce it? Mr. Siskel, another aide, Bruce Reed. Another on the evening of January 19th, his final as
apparently.
president, was with
And
Mr.
yeah, you
Siskel.
should be working.
They said the
I
emails
mean,
show that
I don't
Mr.
know why you
Biden
here.
added
I mean,
the
thank you for
preemptive
helping me
pardons
with
for
the
his
audio
family
shit,
at the
but you
January
should
19th
be
meeting.
working.
They also suggest that he changed some of his thinking, but there's more. The emails show that an aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft summary of Mr. Biden's decision at that meeting to an assistant to Mr. Zients, copying Mr. Siskel at 10:03 p.m. The assistant forwarded it to Mr. Reed and Mr. Zients, asking for their approval, and then sent a final version to Ms. Feldman, copying many meeting participants and aides at 10:28. 3 minutes later, Zients hit reply all and wrote, I approve the use of the AutoPen for the execution of all of the following pardons. That means between 10:03, 10:28, and then 3 minutes later, 10:31, there was no possible time for this staffer to go to Joe Biden and say, are these pardons confirmed? In fact, this guy who I've never heard of, Mr. Zients, approved pardons to the staff who used the AutoPen. Void. They should all be void. I don't know how this is crazy. The president can't
See, I don't know how you do that though. Because that also seems bad. Like, the idea that we let some people go. It's like, yeah, we've pardoned your sentence. Now they're running around, they're out and about. Wait, you gonna go get them? You think they just gonna come back? Is that how this? You think that's how this is gonna go? Because it's not. It's not. Those people are not coming back. There is no chance, like, at all. They got out from behind those walls. They are gone. It's not happening.
delegate away pardon powers, at least as far as I know.
Yeah,
You know,
that-
Biden's asleep by 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that Biden was definitely not awake at 10:48 p.m. 10:38.
Now, here's the big hammer. The lead of the story that should have been the first sentence. Mr. Biden granted Hunter Biden a full pardon in December 2024. It was the only clemency warrant in that period that Mr. Biden signed with his own hand.
Wow.
That's the lead story.
Yeah.
Aides can
And literally everybody knew that was going to happen. Anybody that thought it wasn't is just stupid. Obviously, the man was going to pardon his son.
confirm Biden did not sign off on the individual pardons.
It's evil. I'm curious if he did the pardon with the auto pen for the judge who was getting kickbacks for Cash for Kids. You know about that story?
Yeah,
The guy in
yeah,
Pennsylvania?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's an insane
Cash
story
for
that guy got
Kids?
pardoned as well, but that's what they do at the end, just like Bill Clinton pardoning whether underground terrorists.
I mean, Trump did it.
Yeah, I know. I think it should be
Pardon like that
totally,
rapper?
totally banned. Yeah.
We were like, what about Snowden or like Ross
Assange.
Ulbricht or Assange?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and President Trump has said
Just
many
sue
times
those
whoever was
people. The reason they will pardon people like rappers and shit is because politically it's good for them. And the downsides of that, there's really not any. Like, if you were to take like Assange or Snowden, these are people that know like shit that the government thinks they shouldn't, which I don't agree with. But obviously, what I think is cool and good is not what the government thinks is cool and good, and the people that expose them for doing horrible shit are not going to be the ones they let go. It's
controlling the
just
auto pen.
not.
That's who the president was. So according to those emails back and forth, Mr. Zietz was the acting president. Because if he has the authority to say, I approve this, let's whip out the auto pen, then you've approved the pardon. I was doing some quick math, and I had to Google this one. There are 84,000 seconds in a day, all right? So that was my starting point, 84,000 seconds in a day. On that one day, he pardoned 1,500 people. If he gave every one of those people 1 minute of time, that's 90,000 seconds. So, and you cannot physically spend an entire day looking through those. So they didn't even get 1 minute. So if I have to, like, if I'm president, they're like, you should.
Okay.
Should pardon Tim
Okay,
Pool.
I'll give you that.
Let me see his file.
I'll
Right,
give
you
you
got to. Tim Pool deserves at least a minute. No, the American people deserve at least a minute of me as president reviewing whether or not I give Tim Pool a pardon. He didn't even get that. 1,500 people were just freaking
See.
run through the machine,
I-
and
yeah.
someone.
Because I don't think they would do it like that. They'd have like some kind of system to bunch them up in like weird categories, and even that wouldn't even be right because there will be some people that get mixed in places they're not supposed to be. So like there'll be a bunch of people that got like petty drug charges, and then like jammed in there will be one guy who like killed his whole family or some shit, and it'll just slip through the cracks. It's just how it goes.
Someone else just added their names to that, and that is such a violation of everything we hold sacred that you're absolutely right. They are all null and void, and now those who are null and void are also should return to jail. And if you were not in jail and you got one of the preemptive pardons, well, now you're up for criminal prosecution.
You know, I feel bad for there's at
Everyone?
least some people who the pardons are probably not that big a deal. Maybe there's some like non-violent offender and they were facing 10 years and Biden reduced it to time served after like 6. And it's like, well, they committed a crime, they're bad, but you know, this is whatever. And now it's like you might have to go back.
Yeah,
The violent offenders that get pardons, I'm just like send them back anyway.
yeah.
Yeah,
agree.
I don't give a
But
fuck about that.
imagine finding out that your pardon, which was promised, is being voided because Joe Biden was sleeping.
Because Joe Biden didn't pardon you. Mr. Zients pardoned you.
There was no Joe Biden.
He doesn't have
There was no Joe Biden.
Yeah.
So just so we have a little bit more background, this Jeff Zients guy, he's actually Joe Biden's chief of staff. He was for 2 years, and he's held multiple different positions through the Obama and then earlier in the Joe Biden administration. The reason that it's important that you go through each individual case is because you don't actually know, like, there are details in each specific crime that lead to different things. One of the more outlandish people that was granted clemency was the infamous Kids for Cash judge, this guy named, who was it, Michael Conahan, and he was this guy in one of the states who was getting kickbacks from jail, so he was encouraged to send more kids to jail at the time, so he gave out these outrageous sentences. So like things like this fall through the crack as a result of this. I think it's also fascinating how this is, for a Democrat, pretty much political malpractice. Like the Trump administration right now is struggling with a specific story. Let's not mention it this soon in the episode, but like while the Trump administration is struggling with that, this is the lead story for the New York Times. So it's like, Joe Biden, you're too dumb to keep your mouth shut for like the Democrats' sake, because now this is only red meat for the MAGA base, which Trump is struggling to, keep fully on his side. So this story is a perfect distraction for that, and
I'm not
it isn't
fully on anyone's side. Like, as much as I like a lot of the stuff that Trump is doing, there are things that he could do where he would lose my support immediately. There is absolutely things he could do where he would lose my support immediately. So, I don't play team games. I play whoever is most in my interest. Like, I don't give a fuck which side you're on. I'm for the side that's not fucking me the most. That's
going
my
anywhere.
team.
This is a story that the president was talking about for a long time. And I also will mention, because I only today really learned what the auto pen literally was, because Shane mentioned something and told me to look it up. I thought it was DocuSign. I use DocuSign for all of my document signing needs, and it's like this automatic thing online where I just click one button and it writes my signature. No, this is like a physical contraption that moves with the strokes similar to
It's a
what your
little
hand is
arm,
supposed to do.
and it moves.
It looks like Joe Biden.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it up.
But like, why the timing is so fascinating.
Yeah, I thought it
Obviously,
was
the
just
former
like-
president has an ego, and he was
like
trying
the
to defend his
DocuSign game.
legacy right now. That's
Dude, can I buy this?
being slammed.
We should get one.
You can buy one, sure.
Yeah, it's like a 1970s CNC.
But this is this is a process crime, because this is kept in a room under lock and key, and people
mean,
need to
that's
go in,
not-
and people need
that's not
to
a
get the
CNC, but
paper,
yeah,
and
I get what you
there are a
mean.
lot of bad actors in this process, and they are all to a certain extent culpable. And you can't say, well, I was just following orders. That doesn't fly anymore.
I just wanted to follow up on this Cash for Kids judge that I mentioned, Kids for Cash judge that I mentioned, because I do feel like it was significant. Conahan's inclusion sparked harsh blowback, him being included and being given clemency. Even Pennsylvania Democrat Governor Josh Shapiro criticized Biden for getting it absolutely wrong. He said it created a lot of pain here in North Pennsylvania. So this guy was convicted in 2011 of funneling juveniles to a for-profit detention center in exchange for more than $2 million in kickbacks. He was sentenced to more than 17 years in prison. Many people would say that's not enough, but the issue again with not reviewing closely is that scumbags like
sentences,
America, I would like to introduce you to your president, circa 2021-25. There you go.
We
go,
started
Watch.
investigating the auto pen stuff because there were so many climate executive orders.
It's drawing a butt. What is it drawing?
It says USA.
Anyway, continue.
There were so many climate executive orders that just came out with a signature, and that we never saw the president talk about it. So probably the most egregious one was when Biden's auto pen said that we were banning the sale and the export of liquid natural gas. And so obviously in the fossil fuel world, it was like, whoa. The president's banning liquid natural gas? Yep, banned. Starting in January, it was banned. And if you remember, Mike Johnson, as Speaker of the House, had an interesting exchange. He said, I was talking to the president, and I asked him, why did you ban LNG? And he said, I didn't do that. And he was like, yeah, Mr. President, you did. And at the time, that was understood as, wow, Biden is in such bad shape, he doesn't even remember. But then we realized as an organization, we were like, oh, no, he didn't even know he did it. Like the crazy Greens in the White House were like, let's ban LNG. And they were like, damn, here's the auto pen. They put it through. So we came up with a whole series of executive orders on climate, banning drilling in the Arctic, banning drilling in the outer continental shelf, that we were like, Biden never spoke about this in first person. Now, not everyone makes as big gestures as President Trump, right? He holds them up and everyone sees. But to have the president ban the sale of natural gas and never get asked about it, never talk about it, never get questioned by the press, we were like, this guy doesn't know what the hell's happening.
So there was a lot of those happening quickly, and then you were like, we should look into this?
We found 8 in particular that are huge and that bankrupted people's companies, right? If you're selling natural gas and the White House announces it's now illegal to sell it, to export it, you're like, well, there goes the business. We mortgaged the house. Sorry, Mom, we're out of it. Lives were ruined over this.
Terrible.
And all of our European allies bought Russian gas because we stopped selling American. So they were like, who can be the mediary for Russian natural gas? The Turks, which again, they're part of NATO. Turkey was like, yeah, we'll be the
sounds about
mediary.
right.
We'll buy it from Russia and we'll sell it to France and Germany and Italy. So it created hell.
Yeah, just the
Well, let's
government
just add this to the mix.
doing
Rand Paul saying,
the
today I will resume.
Democratic
I'm
government
sorry.
doing everything they can to sell our country out to some company overseas. You don't even have to do it by like actually sending anything over there. Just prevent us from being able to do something, and the people overseas can do it, and we can't. So
Reissue my criminal referral
Yeah, let's
for
clap that up.
Anthony
Let's
Fauci to Trump DOJ. So I want to read this portion, which is this is from the New York Times story. It says, at the January 19th meeting, which took place in the Yellow Oval Room of the White House residence, Mr. Biden kept his aides until nearly 10 p.m. to talk through such decisions, according to people familiar with the matter. The emails show that an aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft of a summary to Mr. Biden's decision Mr. Biden's decisions at that meeting to an assistant to Mr. Zients. So like this is convoluted. An aide to Mr. Siskel sent a draft of purportedly Mr. Biden's decision.
Did he smile? Yeah. Oh. Look at all that sparkly stuff. What's going on there? What's going on there? What is all that? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Ooh. To an assistant to Mr. Zients. Okay? So these are two assistants talking to each other. Copying Mr. Siskel at 10:03. The assistant forwarded to Mr. Reed and Mr. Zients asking for their approval, and then sent a final version to Ms. Feldman. Feldman was the one who ran them through the AutoPen. Copying many participants. 3 minutes later, Mr. Zients hit reply all and wrote, I approve the use of AutoPen for the execution of all the following pardons. This is why Rand Paul is saying Fauci for jail.
Oh, there you go.
Not the full reason is because Fauci lied to Congress, but he's saying this is why the belief now is, and this is a senator saying this, the pardons are void.
They have to
Lock
be.
'em up.
They have to be void because Joe Biden didn't pardon them. He pardoned the process, and that's not the same as saying I pardon you, right? Like I will come up with a structure. That's not how. This is where it's going to go to the courts. Eventually, everything else goes to the damn courts. I assume this will get litigated to a certain point, but otherwise, what is the role of the president if it can be delegated to the staffers? Then we don't have a president. We have a figurehead, right?
Executive-
And the staffers do everything.
Wouldn't be the first time.
I think AutoPen is clearly unconstitutional and should be banned.
No, it should be totally fine for like happy 7th birthday to Peter and Marsha. Like that is allowed. Like AutoPen to sign Merry
Let's
Christmas.
ban that too.
No.
But that's what it's supposed to be used for.
That's a dick move.
That's what it's supposed to be used for.
Imagine, I still think it's a dick move. So fine, I guess it's allowed. But could you imagine if it's like your birthday and then you get a letter and it's like a signature and you're like, oh, wow, thanks, Evan. And then someone comes and like, imagine then someone came to me and said, Tim, you know that card you sent to Daniel for his birthday? And I go, I didn't send him a card for his birthday. That's exactly what happened with Joe Biden. Oh, how many times did that happen?
And that's totally fine when you get 40,000 emails a day saying, can you send a letter to my mom for her birthday? Of course, President Trump or President Biden is not going to sign.
Like, that means my
40,000
Trump
birthday
autograph
cards.
stuff's not real?
But a lot, well, that's why a real
might-
autograph is real. And that's the problem. Like, if you auto pen Willie Mays' signature, this baseball is worth nothing.
We take them all to Pawn Stars now
Right.
to get these verified.
Yeah. So then it's an auto. I mean, there's validity, there's power in the signature, and that's why you can't forge it.
That actually is funny. Like, now that there's this AutoPen scandal, someone might go to Pawn Stars and be like, I have this photo of, Joe Biden with Richard Nixon signed by Joe Biden. I'm like,
Sorry.
was it?
So
Was it really?
I think one of the problems that the Trump administration ran into with another story was overpromising and under-delivering, and the political cynic in me suggests that the same thing is going to be happening here. I don't suspect that anybody who actually received a pardon is going to have it withdrawn or whatnot. I don't actually think that Fauci is going to face justice in any,
I
real
hope
way.
you're wrong,
So, like,
Rod.
while the optimist in me, I mean, no, I'm purely cynical. I don't think that this is actually going anywhere, and I feel like we're being, this is just a story to help calm the base down.
I hope you're
I know
wrong.
this is
I hope
coming
you're
from
wrong,
the
but I
Times.
think
Wait, hold on. Are you saying over the Epstein stuff?
I'm saying they overpromised and underdelivered for the Epstein stuff, and they could learn from that by not overpromising and underdelivering in the case here with the pardons.
Real quick. Can you name a story where the Republicans under promised and overperformed?
No, I mean it's in the politician's nature to, but I mean it's really biting the administration in a recent story, in the Epstein case story, and now I think it's going to bite them when none of this comes to fruition in the future. Because again, I don't think Fauci's going to face any real justice.
Agreed. But I don't think the New York Times wrote this to appease the base of Trump. I do think there's a catastrophe, a crisis in the Epstein story,
Yeah.
for which there's no way they make it go away, and it's really silly now. I think what was it? Charlie Kirk was saying, what did he talk to Trump? Is that what happened?
got the
Let's
phone
put an
call.
allegedly in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
Talked to his friends in the
President
White
Trump
House.
gave him a phone call and was upset, especially with how much talk of Epstein was going on at
don't know if
the
he said Trump,
TPUSA
though.
summit.
We'll get into the. I don't want to go too hard on the Epstein stuff now because we do have some stories to pull up there. The New York Times clearly wrote this story to cover up for Biden. That's why the headline of the story is Biden says he signed off on these pardons. Because when you actually go through it, the New York Times, this is what they do. They're front loading the story. So your average person sees the headline, reads the first paragraph, and says, so Biden approved it. But if you actually read the whole way through, you're like, wait a minute.
Same thing they always do.
Now, just real quick, why would the New York
They just
Times write
straight
their
up
story
lie
this
in the
way?
beginning?
Instead of just giving me a succinct one-paragraph intro, Republicans are investigating the pardons that Joe Biden issued because they're arguing that AutoPen is illegitimate. Aides and staffers ran these pardons through AutoPen without Joe Biden's approval. End of story. The New York Times wrote this to cover for Democrats, not to shift the narrative off of. I don't think the New York Times was like, let's collude to help Trump.
To turn it around on Trump at some point.
My-
With his auto pen use,
Yeah.
If there was, and I believe there
there-
probably was.
There was, but I think this term Trump has not used it
Not this term.
because he's signing everything with those big markers.
Except for birthday cards and Christmas cards. But my only hope on the Fauci thing is I think Senator Rand Paul has such personal animus for him that I think the Trump administration separately, you may be right, like they may overpromise and underdeliver, but I think Senator Rand Paul has such they had such nasty exchanges, and he's a doctor. He felt like he was questioned as a doctor, so I'm kind of hoping Rand Paul is like a pit bull with this and just goes after it
I agree.
nonstop.
I think he has every reason to try to get back into the good graces of the MAGA folk because he voted against the president's big, beautiful bill and has been getting a lot of heat from that. Maybe I just look at politics in a much more
wouldn't that help
cynical
him?
way. I think this definitely would help him because he's posturing on an issue that he aligns with on the MAGA base. But this is the same guy who said he doesn't want to use the military on illegal immigrants to help ICE in any capacity. I think he's against mass migration, and he's against the Trump agenda that he tried to pass in Congress.
But the Fauci thing is one of the biggest stories that we need major accountability for.
Sure.
Like
And
it's-
if by accountability,
He shut down the country.
Donald
worked
Trump.
on gain of function. in
Donald Trump shut
Wuhan.
down the. He was the president.
Oh, Donald Trump's
Anthony
got other
Fauci
issues I want
was
to
not.
investigate. Yeah.
Trump shut down.
was worse
Trump
for you.
proposed the shutdown for 2 weeks. The states shut down each of their individual states. Some were open, some were closed.
And Fauci was the figurehead of the destruction.
Fauci was advising it, and Fauci was working on gain of function research, which he lied about to Congress,
Yep.
to the Senate. That's why Rand Paul's saying lock him up, because he lied.
Yeah.
And Newsweek headline.
Straight up lied.
They tried to be very nice when they said he was like, what do they say, untruthful comments made? It's like, sure.
And
he
then
was on the road,
NIH
though.
just changed the definition of gain of function, right? And they were like, well, we just changed it. So, no, we weren't doing that. Look at our new definition on our new website, which was released a couple hours ago before I testified. So,
Love how that works.
it just always just change the names of everything, you know? The
All
left
of these
is
guys
great at
need to be
that.
brought to testify in front of Congress.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Just
chief of
change the name,
staff and
claim it never
then
happened.
all the people who are involved in these emails should all be dragged in front of Congress, and all of
Well,
this
it's
should
really
happen
not
before
what
the
I was
midterms, so the Republicans will still have the majority when it happens.
I'm wondering, you know, one of the things too, especially, which we'll get into in a little bit more, but how Democrats are just so pro Epstein release now. And I'm like, guys, the challenge I see now, because like we mentioned Charlie Kirk saying I don't trust my friends on this one. It's like Democrats did not care at all under Biden. They were just not going to bring it up. And now that Trump promised to do it but
I
isn't,
mean,
they're acting like it.
If they cared under Biden, and anything that they had actually had anything to do with Trump, with as much random bullshit as they made up, they would have released that shit. They absolutely would have released that shit. So that's why I don't believe that. I just think it's all bullshit. Like the whole situation. Every single inch of it. And I also did not know that the gunpowder in my shotgun shells, for my 410 shells, was fucking green. That's weird. Interesting.
It's the biggest scandal ever.
Yeah.
I just don't believe him.
Of course
Yeah.
not.
Well, I
Do
think
I
the
trust him?
president
Kinda
put it
makes me wanna pull
succinctly
apart one
in
of
one
the
of his
other
Truth
ones,
Social
but,
posts where he said if there was
I'm not
anything
confident
damning
that wouldn't go
related to
off if I
MAGA
tried
or
to take it
himself,
apart.
the
So,
Biden
I'm
and
not
Merrick
doing it.
Garland would have, the Biden administration
Absolutely.
and Merrick Garland definitely would have released it. Why would
try
they
one
have
of these
held
ones,
on to it?
but
Anything relating to Trump, just because the
it's
president had
probably
some
the same
picture with
shit.
Jeffrey Epstein, is why I think Democrats
same
are trying to
brand?
advance it. I also think Democrats and leftists notice the fissure
not the
in
same
MAGA
shit.
as a result of this, and they will try to push and exploit this as much as they can. I think although there is some there to the Epstein story, I think every cynic, every person who's critical of the MAGA agenda will use it to try to create more fissures and exploit that fissure.
Yeah, it's the same they do with Elon, right? As soon as they see something that is splitting the MAGA movement where people are taking sides, the Democrats pile on because they want to exacerbate that fissure. And so,
Well, Elon was disgusting about this. Elon was giving this more credence that the president allegedly had a business with Epstein that completely didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if somebody like Elon
Yeah,
is
that wasn't
willing
cool
to,
'Cause I-
throw
I-
money at
I
the president's
don't-
name.
I genuinely don't think that that man saw anything while he was there. I just don't see how he could, or in what circumstance he was near anything that would allow him to. Like, yeah, he was investigating a bunch of shit there, but like, I don't think any of that had anything to do with the Epstein files. Like, at all. Man, that does not want to come apart. I'll give it a little bit more effort here in a second.
And slander him like that.
I got an idea. Can we find someone whose last name is Epstein? There was a guy on
A lot of them.
his name was Jeffrey R. Epstein, and someone quote tweeted him and said that R is holding up the weight of the world.
that's great.
It's like, if my last name was Epstein, because it's a common last name, I would create my top 10 newsworthy individuals of the week list, and that way I could tweet, here's who's on the Epstein list, and then just start putting people's names on. You can't sue you for defamation.
putting
There's
stuff on
a
the Epstein
famous
list?
Hollywood reporter, Kevin McCarthy, and when
pretty funny.
McCarthy became speaker, that was like the running joke that he'd be like, "Seriously, guys, wrong McCarthy." Like, he's covering like Brad Pitt's newest movie, and he would
Fucking
say
guy
all
over
this
here in
like "F
chat,
you," like
Elon
it's
is
like I'm not that
Satan.
Kevin McCarthy. So
Sure, man.
could do that with the Jeffrey Epstein. Put out
say
a
so.
casting call for a Jeffrey Epstein. He can
to
sit right there. He can-
Hey, we'll make a website, Epstein'sList.org,
There's a politician
and
in New York.
it'll be like to find local services to help you out.
Yeah.
Someone just ran in New York with an Epstein
So that's
name.
what a
I've met other Daniel Turners. Oh,
what
that
a
name's kind of boring as
410
hell.
a lot of
shotgun
them.
shell
So, yeah, there's a lot.
slug looks like.
Let's jump to this next story from Newsweek.
Looking hollow at the back.
Los Angeles to give cash assistance
not
to
much in there.
immigrants impacted by Trump raids. I love immigrants impacted. Who is Trump targeting in these raids? Are they just immigrants, or are they perhaps a subcategory of immigrant?
Giving cash to illegals that invaded our country.
Newsweek says Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass announced a new initiative to provide direct cash assistance to immigrants impacted by the Trump admin's ongoing immigration raids. The funds will be distributed as cash cards valued at a couple $100s each, and is expected to become available in the next week. They say President Trump has vowed to carry out the largest mass deportation in U.S. history. The GOP's flagship immigration policy under Trump is causing people to avoid going to work and fears over workplace raids. California has become one of the key battleground states for immigration. So hold on there a minute.
That's a buckshot.
So the cash assistance is intended for families directly impacted by the raids. Mayor Bass highlighted the example of a family that faced potential eviction after one of its primary earners was detained by immigration authorities. Was this individual perhaps legally detained under a warrant of some sort, perhaps for being an illegal immigrant? The program will be funded through private donations rather than city funds.
See, that's
Immigrant
what
rights
makes, like,
organizations,
when
including
you
the
say
Coalition for
gunpowder.
Human Immigrant Rights in Los Angeles, will handle the distribution of cash cards. According to the mayor's office, the
Yeah,
city
it's
will
not this
coordinate efforts between
green shit.
donors and
That's not
distribution
what I
partners,
expect.
though specific eligibility criteria have not yet been announced. They're going to say Bass likened the initiative to Angelino Cards program during the pandemic. The cash cards announced coincided with a new executive order signed by Bass directing all city
That-
departments to strengthen
that is
training and
what I
policies
expected
ensuring
to see.
compliance with LA's sanctuary
shit.
city law. Okay,
Nothing green.
now y'all
shit.
know
That's the weirdest
I pointed this out at the
gunpowder
beginning
I've
of the
ever
show.
seen in my life.
we've had many people come on the show and say treason. They say Comey committed treason because he called Trump a Russian. That's not treason. Sedition is when you try to undermine, overthrow, or obstruct the government. So what we saw with Trump being falsely charged and the Russiagate conspiracies and the false impeachments, that's seditious conspiracy. Individuals of this country seeking to undermine this country's government. Treason is defined as this: whoever owing allegiance to the United States levies war against them or adheres to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort within the United States or elsewhere, is guilty of treason. Want to pull this up? Is guilty of treason and shall suffer death or shall be imprisoned not less than 5 years and fined under this title but not less
You
than
know,
$10,000
half of that
and shall
doesn't
be
really seem
incapable of holding any
that
office under
balanced.
the United States. This is codified in U.S.
They'll-
law.
They'll imprison you for 5 years or kill you, which is remarkably more permanent. You having fun in your chair? Go. Oh. You don't feel like
So
chatting
let
it
me
up.
just ask the basic question. We'll start here. Trump invokes 18th century law declaring invasion by gangs to
Like
speed
that.
mass deportations. Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, a sweeping wartime authority that allows the president broader leeway on policy and executive action to speed up mass deportations of people, potentially pushing his promised crackdown. This is from March 15th. Trump has federalized the National Guard in California because of riots, and he sent in the Marines to protect federal buildings as they were conducting immigration raids in LA. Recently, the Trump administration raided several marijuana farms. Let me pull this one up. This is very important. Miners, pot farms. I bet Pot Farm probably won't do it, but here we go from the BBC. Hey, the BBC is a source, right? Okay, liberals are going to say it doesn't count. Minors among suspected illegal immigrants detained after clash at California farm.
yeah?
What kind of farm was it? It's a marijuana farm. You see, they keep omitting that. Now, hold on. Let me just ask the panel a basic question. Do you think these minors, illegal immigrants, came to this country of their own volition?
No. way.
Do you think they are working on a pot farm by choice?
Definitely.
What do we call it when people are brought somewhere and then forced to work against their will?
Slaves.
And we call it trafficking. So what Trump and the CBP has likely uncovered, and I ask because I think it's unanimous, when children are brought here to work on farms against their will, we call that child trafficking and slavery. Karen Bass is providing funding to the individuals impacted by this. With that being said, is it fair to say that she is adhering to our enemies and giving them aid and comfort within the United States?
Yes.
I think it's
Clearly.
You made a great deductive argument right there.
If this, so I'm not gonna look. When people hear the word treason, they imagine
Yeah.
we've had these stories
Is
recently
everything
where
just a
like
big
someone in
fart?
the Air Force went to Russia and gave them classified documents or something. There was actually someone who worked for the director, the DIA. Was it what is that department called?
Defense Intelligence
There
Agency.
you go. There you go. And he was coordinating with what he thought was a foreign ally of the United States, and he was providing them with classified information in exchange for potential citizenship.
Perfect.
But they were not an enemy of the United States, so I don't think they even charged him with espionage. In this instance, we have a very interesting circumstance. I'm not going to pretend like this is somebody selling nuclear secrets to Russia, which is like the epitome of treason, or during a war going and joining, let's say right now, they went and started aiding and abetting ISIS or like ISIS-K, whatever it's called, and Hamas and Iran. That would be like, oh wow, they're waging war against us, living war against us. I would say Karen Bass has put her foot just slightly over the line of where it would be legally defined as treason, because Donald Trump has already said these narco gangs and cartels are invading our country, many at the behest of foreign adversaries, and we have to deport them. We know,
What is that
or I
Pokemon
should
card in
say,
the
it is
background?
reasonable to conclude, at least Tren de Aragua, that makes a lot of sense, that Venezuela released prisoners from their
his
prisons
gold
and sent
Trump
them out
shoes on the
saying,
back.
go disrupt other places, go to the
Couldn't even
United
see
States,
it.
why don't you? That's Trump's argument. Right now, you have this scenario. Regardless of what you think of Trump, the federal government has asserted there is an invasion on the southern border. Blanket statement.
Yep.
Maybe not a legal one, I don't know. There is a
I'd say that's a legal
alien
one,
enemy
considering
invasion
true
under the
and that's what's
1798 Alien Enemies Act that, yes, Tren de Aragua is an invasive force. Now, we don't know exactly who's running these pot farms, but the BBC is even reporting children were working on these farms. I think it's fair to say these people who are not Americans are an enemy of this country, because I don't think anyone in this country is going to argue that it's lawful to have child slaves. Karen Bass providing, aiding, and abetting these individuals is adhering to our enemies.
300,000 kids went missing over the border while Biden was, in charge. I'm putting in quotes for those listening. I'm sure some of those kids are wound up on that farm and farms like it. They are. This is like a slow death of a state that she is accelerating with her, like Tim was saying, the foot on the pedal. But I
That
think
was
she
everybody.
helped burn down that state. She was just gone. It totally mismanaged the fires in L.A.
So the reason I bring this up is
That's
because,
everybody in
and
the
again, I
world.
want to stress,
Please don't
I
do nothing.
always- if it's not treason, you can't
department
say that,
will tell
don't
you
say
to
it's
your
treason.
face that they-
I
they don't
imagine
have
the
to
Barbary
rescue
the
you,
Barbary Wars.
and that you shouldn't have
Jefferson,
been in the
I believe it
fire in the
was
first place.
negotiating with with North Africa, and saying like, stop your people from doing this, and they basically
don't
said,
get
you're
on
infidels,
fire,
we can do what we
no.
want. And he said, okay,
Yeah, it's that easy,
we're
man.
making the Marines, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna crush you. The Barbary pirates are pirates. They are not necessarily of a government. That's what a pirate is. It's a privateer. If there were, say, during the Barbary Wars, if you went and aided a pirate vessel attacking the U.S. Marines, that was legal treason. Treason doesn't have to be a nation state. It is just the declared enemy of the United States. So this is, admittedly, I would call it being on the line, because I'm sure some might argue, no. She's not directly aiding Tren de Aragua. She's indirectly aiding. She's indirectly aiding narco gangs and Tren de Aragua with the action she's taking. We don't know for sure that she is, but it seems highly likely that she is. In the event that the Trump administration discovers anybody who received one of these cards is MS-13, Tren de Aragua, or Sinaloa, or any of these other cartels, that there is objective done, red line treason. So I try to be careful. The question then becomes, is there political will for Donald Trump or anyone in government to actually go against these sanctuary policies? I think the answer is no. The question then becomes, to be completely honest, is enforcing sanctuary policy in general just treason? And I think the only way this is going to stop is when you get someone at the bare minimum argues for sedition.
There's no doubt these cards are going to end up in the hands of the narco traffickers, because the people who are working on these farms are indebted to them for getting them across the border. The 15-year-old girls that are working on these farms are there to pay off the debt of someone else who owes the traffickers. So if you are the nicest of people and you got the $500 card from Karen Bass's organization, ultimately the narco trafficker is going to be like, I want the card.
We have a hard question that this country is facing right now. BBC report: federal officials said a protester fired what looked like a pistol at federal agents. Now, we were live when that broke. We covered that story. It was the third time in 1 week extremist factions were opening fire on federal law enforcement. But if we were to say outright, what are the circumstances right now the U.S. is facing? We've got narco gangs. There's many of them in the United States. Most people are familiar with Tren de Aragua and MS-13, for instance. They trade drugs, they traffic people, they smuggle. You've got the cartels. The cartels are much, much more serious, right? The narco gangs might be involved in one or two political killings, but they're largely just gang killings, trafficking. The cartels actively are killing wave after wave of politicians in Mexico, and they do operate on our southern border smuggling drugs. We have a crisis in this country with these elements. We are trying to stop them. The American people voted for Donald Trump to stop them. Sanctuary cities, Democrat politicians are seeking to abet all these illegal immigrants. At what point now, with 3 ambushes, I shouldn't say that there was an ambush, but 2 ambushes on cops, 2 cops shot, and now this. At what point is Trump going to have to say, there is an enemy in the United States attacking us, seeking to kill our law enforcement in violation of the voter base who voted in a Republican majority in the House, Senate, presidency, and, because of Trump's first term, the Supreme Court. Clearly, immigration is something people want done. At some point, the question is going to have to be posed, do we actually treat this as enemies in the United States attacking us?
Yes, he needs to be more aggressive. I think we only have 100,000 deportations so far. Barack had 2.5 million.
But let's compare those. Barack, those are turnarounds. The Obama deportations was largely captured at the border and pushed back.
Right.
And never before had we seen the kind of raids that Trump is doing, where he's going into Los Angeles.
I think he did use ICE raids, though. Obama
He
did
did,
definitely
but
use ICE raids.
They weren't like Trump's.
Not like this. Well,
So-
they need to be more aggressive. And I don't think we should wait for something to pop off, like someone to get hurt again, for him to be like, okay, now's the time.
This is the question that I brought up last week, and I'll ask you, Shane. What do you think would happen if Abraham Lincoln did not react to the secession of 7 states? Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, well, exactly. Along those same lines, the congressman that happened yesterday, Carbajal. I don't know if you saw this. I saw it earlier on the news. Congressman Carbajal was trying to stop an ICE deportation, and he asked the ICE official for his card, and he gave it to him. And he took his business card and showed it to the media on camera, read out the guy's name, read out his information, and people
So
are saying,
nice
"How
to
do you
watch
not
a-
arrest Congressman Carbajal?"
It's so nice to watch a babe's little brain activate. You get to see what she's doing, all the stuff going on up there. You smelling his feet? Are they stinky? Say, pew! Woo-wee! I got some stinky feet.
Like, you doxed an ICE official, and you said, "I'm a member of Congress. I want your card. Here's my card. Now I'm going to share it with the American people."
Well, the challenge there is
This is insanity.
Scummy but not
It's-
illegal.
Right, scummy but not illegal. The reason I brought up the Lincoln thing is, I think it's fair to say, so the history is, Abraham Lincoln wins the election, immediately 7 states declare secession. Just 7. And Abraham Lincoln's not even president
Can I
yet.
remove a tab?
He gets in and says,
Didn't put it
we
back.
will not let the Union break apart. And so you get first the Battle of Fort Sumter. The Union refuses to pull their troops out of Fort Sumter in South Carolina. So that was, we call it the start, but the only person that died, I think, was an accident. Then you get the first Battle of Bull Run, where the South mounts forces in Virginia, and the Union
Boo,
loses.
history lessons.
At any point, Abraham Lincoln could have said, I am not engaging. And if Abraham Lincoln said, well, I guess they seceded, you know what would happen? No Civil War. Because the South wasn't invading the North. The question then is right now, will Donald Trump, the question is, will this escalate? I'm sorry, like they're already shooting at cops. I don't know what to. So we're there.
It's escalating.
Will Trump
It is escalating.
declare an insurrection and actually start shutting down these sanctuary cities? If he doesn't, I think they win. If he does, I think he wins, and he would be Lincoln-esque.
Yeah.
I did hear him the other day say, if you get in the way of ICE vehicles making arrests, I'm instructing ICE agents to move in and arrest protesters that do so.
Indeed, but that's
So,
just
like,
saying,
first
like,
step in the right direction. I mean,
sure.
they haven't
You
been
know,
well.
if you violate the law, we'll arrest you is a bare minimum.
Yeah. There's
The question is the degree of charges. And Abraham Lincoln suspended habeas corpus without the authority of Congress. That's unconstitutional. Retroactively, they claimed he was allowed to do it, setting a precedent that hypothetically in a wartime, this is the precedent Lincoln set that everyone cheered for.
Yeah.
Trump could suspend habeas corpus and then say, all that needs to happen is Congress at any point just agree. I can do it when I feel like it. That's what Lincoln did. And that's the point he was making before about illegal immigration. I think, you know, Abraham Lincoln arrested the Maryland legislature, or, I'm sorry, a third of them.
Yeah.
These are huge unconstitutional moves made by a president who decided he was going to send the troops down and maintain the integrity of the Union, which we celebrate him for.
so
He
I don't
was a
think
tyrant.
Still Democrats.
I think he was a tyrant.
he doesn't need to go
always
that
Democrats.
far yet. I don't think
He
the
wanted
president-
war.
He,
Him and
I think the
Sherman
president
wanted war.
now, he needs Pam Bondi to go hard after the 10 protesters who were involved in the attack in one ICE facility. I believe the Korean man who shot one ICE officer, they have he's wanted right now and they're on the lookout for him. The president just finished passing the one big beautiful bill that is going to increase funding to ICE. But having said all that, I've been monitoring, my background's in field reporting, and I suspect that this will be the next big leftist liberal movement in our country. I've been monitoring all the lefty pages on Instagram, Twitter, and throughout social media. They call for violence against ICE cops regularly, and as I continue to monitor them, they're becoming more and more well organized. What does that mean? That means they are going to organize and call for more protests as ICE workplace enforcements are happening. As workplace raids are happening, they're looking to flood the zone with different protesters and rioters. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot more of moving forward.
Yeah, and I think every couple of years the left needs their organizing a principle, whether it's Occupy Wall Street, whether it's Black Lives Matter, whether they always have to have something to galvanize them. And this could be the new
Well, I
one,
mean,
right? Headed
they're all
into the
crazy people,
midterms,
though.
headed into,
kind
you
of
know,
what
it's
they do.
summer.
They
I'm surprised
gas
it's not
each other
happening
up.
now. But the crazy left, the Antifa faction of the left, they need a something to rally around.
I'm just
I-
happy
and this is
Israel-Palestine season's over. Switch, it's officially
I agree.
illegal immigrant season.
And you know you have to thank for that.
But the poor climate.
Epstein? I was going to say, no, the ICE
the
agents
poor-
who are emboldened, that's the number one thing on the Donald Trump agenda has been mass deportations, and they're delivering on what they
But
promised.
imagine
let's-
if you
let's-
were a true climate believer. Like, what about the climate change people? No one cares.
They're gone.
No one goes to their.
Greta
I
cares about
know.
Palestine, not about climate
Even,
change.
even Greta moved
Let's,
on to kill Israel. I know she left climate.
Let's jump to this story from the Post Millennial. We've got this one from the Post Millennial. Illegal immigrants can be deported to third-party countries with as little as 6-hour notice, ICE memo says. A new policy memo issued by ICE Director Todd Lyons has stated U.S. immigration officials can now deport illegal immigrants to countries other than their own with minimal advance notice. I say let's go.
Do they warn the other country?
Do they what?
Do they warn the other country?
Well,
Or
I mean,
just,
we
illegal?
talked about this a couple weeks ago. Like South Sudan's got the lowest GDP in the world, with it's like $390 per year.
Right.
So these illegal immigrants, they're going to boost the GDP of South Sudan.
They need it.
Well, I think the situation here is that many countries don't have agreements in place for us to deport their illegals back to their country. So, for example, like Venezuela won't accept the illegal Venezuelans that we try to send back there. So I think the idea is instead of having to keep them here instead, because we can't send them back to Venezuela, we send them to a
comes up
third-party
with this
country
shit?
to not let them linger here in our country.
I agree. The question ultimately now is, you know, in the previous segment, we were talking about Karen Bass giving money to illegal immigrants who are targets of federal law enforcement, which is aiding. Like, it's one thing to aid and abet a criminal, someone robbed a bank, but these are not citizens. These are people that Trump is saying is invading us. And the question is, if this money finds its way to Tren de Aragua, to MS-13, to Sinaloa, to whoever else, this is treason. She's aiding and abetting. The question then becomes, does Trump need to go full Abraham Lincoln, or will the Democrat resistance be so weak? Albeit, it is nuts, right? They've already shot 2 cops. There's been 3 shootings against law enforcement, but still, they've not organized any meaningful way. So does Trump need to escalate the law enforcement beyond what he's doing now? My argument would be a little bit.
Yeah.
Not like he needs to declare a war and send in the Marines to take over California, but federalizing the National Guard. And I do think he needs to start arresting Democrat politicians who are aiding and abetting criminal gangs.
You don't need to march to the sea, but he can go in and
Yeah,
like do
we
some
don't want
surgical
everyone.
stuff, and just take care of the illegal.
Well, I think Karen Bass should be arrested at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
If they don't want to say it's treason because it's like kind of on the line, if Trende Aragua got this cash, then she is doing that. She's facilitating that. But if it's just aiding the illegal immigrants, I'd say sedition. I do believe right now the DOJ shouldn't waste any time. They should absolutely charge. However, I wonder if they're going to wait till after the midterms. So Trump is done 2029, January 20th. This is it for him. He's going to walk out, and that's the end of game. That's end game for him. He's going to, like his first term, this is what all politicians try to do, maximize the powers they have right now so that he gets the full 4 years. So Trump says, play it light for now, do some of these raids. Let's try and win the midterms. After the midterms are over, full bore.
Because if the Democrats get the House again, it's going to be endless impeachments again, I think is what the president suspects, just like it was last time when he lost the House.
So he can take the actions now and then maybe lose the midterms, or he can take little actions now, try and win the midterms, and then go ham.
I think you got to do it now.
I agree.
Like you got to save lives. You got to help turn this country around. You can't wait.
I think the assumption that you can win the midterms by waiting is wrong.
And I think the advantage that the president has is, I think, even in sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, blue areas, I think your average law enforcement officer is on board.
Yeah.
Right? They're tired of having to fight with their own criminal element, let alone an illegal criminal element. So I'm sure there are some lefty cops, there's leftists everywhere. But I would think that most of your LAPD will be thrilled to know that the president wants to help get rid of their criminal element. And when Karen Bass is like, the LA police are going to blah, 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 like, we're not. We're actually not.
So I wanted to prompt you guys on something that I hear a lot of Democrat politicians talking about. And so at a lot of these workplace raids, at a lot of these outside of immigration courts where ICE agents are detaining illegal aliens, they're all masked up. Some have, different masks that they're wearing. Clearly there to protect their identities. Tom Homan cited something like a 700% increase in violence towards these agents as to why they're wearing their masks. I believe that, obviously, and that there's been a lot of threats towards their families, and there's been literally shootings at these ICE agents. Even
Fucking 700% increase in violence? That's nuts.
when they are wearing their masks. This led to people like Rep. Velasquez and Representative Dan Goldman and others introducing different legislation to kind of ban masks on ICE agents. I totally understand why they find it necessary to wear masks, but how do you guys feel about them wearing masks? Because I think part of the narrative here is struggling because it looks sketchy when people with sometimes their badges hidden, sometimes their faces completely covered. I've covered
No masks.
Yeah.
No masks.
Yeah. So what do you
should
make
not
of the administration's defense of ICE agents wearing masks, saying, it's putting them in danger, and that
Because
there are different activists who are doxing them, and it is happening. I've seen it.
The arguments, I imagine, functionally, imagine you're trying to recruit as many ICE as possible. They've got this big budget increase. And you say, but you can't wear a mask, so they're going to see your face, they're going to find out who you are, they're going to post you on the internet, and they're going to find your family. They'll quit.
Yeah, who's doing that?
So the reason I say no masks, though, is because if you can't rally and get the people you need, then you don't deserve to win. It is simple as bringing those people in and giving them a rallying cry and saying, we will not wear masks. We will not hide who we are. We will not hide what we do. We recognize they will try to kill us. They will threaten us. They will threaten everything we love. But the founding fathers sacrificed blood, treasure, and family to create this nation, and by God, we will do the same to save it. And if you've got people who are like, I'm too scared, then you should not be here. But I guarantee someone with the right charisma who's leading these guys is going to say, you don't need the masks. And they're going to say, why not just have them? Let them come. Show the world who these people are when they make these moves, and we will use the might of the U.S. government against the terrorists. And the left is going to do the terrorists. I don't care. They're shooting cops. We voted for this. Trump won. This is not fascism. This is what the American voter asked Trump to do.
Do you remember in like the week leading up to the passage of the big beautiful bill, Democrats were taken to the floor with all the sob stories. I want to tell about Juanita Gomez, who's 9 years old and was born without a head, and she's going to lose her insurance because there were all the sob stories. I haven't heard one sob story about these 14-year-olds who are working on a pot farm. Right? No one has come out and been like, let me tell you the story of, and this is who the Democrats are defending. Right? They're defending the child slave labor. They're defending it.
Why won't the
Where is anyone coming out saying like what is the life of a 15-year-old girl who works on a pot farm? Like, what is she doing tonight when she's done working? Where is she sleeping? How is she getting raped?
Why is the media saying slaves? Why aren't the headlines saying slaves?
No advocates. These little girls have no advocates. The cartels have great advocates, but these little girls have no one fighting for them.
I will break it down like this. Many of the migrant workers on these farms are not there by choice. They're adults. It's hard to prove. You could maybe say they've indentured themselves to the cartels by saying, I agree to enter into a contract by which I'll work X amount of time for being smuggled into the United States. I've gone to foreign, I'll just keep it kind of private because the people who are at this restaurant might know, but it was a non-American style of food, and their employees appeared to be indentured servants. And they got very mad when I pointed something like this out. That's legal. You're allowed to do that. Like if you live in, say, like China, and you're like, I want passage to the United States, so say, okay, we're gonna have you work a debt off for us. We don't do that in the United States. The issue is that children cannot enter into these contracts. Children cannot agree to be smuggled. That's trafficking. Children who are on a farm doing labor illegally in this country, kids aren't allowed to work on farms like this to the degree that they're having these people. That would then be upgraded from indentured servitude to slavery because they don't have a choice. And so here we are. The question is, you know what I think it is? I think it's because the American liberal thinks slavery is a black man in a field being beaten.
Yes.
They don't realize that slavery affected every level of American society, from grocery stores to government to building houses. In the mind of the liberal, when you talk about slavery, they imagine it's a guy in a field. But there were people who worked a blacksmith, and he had slaves, and the slave would make horseshoes. Nobody was hitting him, but that was not his choice. He did not want to be there, and they were enslaved. I don't know why. You can make all the assumptions. I'll ask you guys in the comments, why won't the media admit these are child slaves?
The left only cares about children when they're dead from mass shootings, so they can use them as political cudgels.
To be fair, the past few they didn't want to talk about at all because of the identity of the shooters.
Yeah, that's true. That's a big conflict for them. Depending on the shooter and who the victims are, they have a tough time deciding on who to victim.
Well, to be fair, Chicago has a mass shooting every weekend they never talk about.
That's so weird.
At least according to the Googles, is 388,000 slaves were taken to North America from Africa. Joe Biden lost how many kids?
300,000-ish.
Right. So Joe Biden was.
Wait. People taken from the U.S. to Africa?
Over 12 million were trafficked out of Africa, but 388,000 were brought directly to North America.
Oh, okay.
Again, according to the Googleses. But so Joe Biden trafficked more than 300,000 children in 4 years, and this was over 200 years. Joe Biden was the largest slave trafficker and sex trafficker in the history of the world.
You know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I think it is absolutely fair to say that children who are smuggled here did not make the choice, and now having to work off a debt are being forced to do so. I would call that trafficking and slavery. But if we want to play the game the Democrats play about, but they're asylum seekers. Okay, you're right, liberals. These people in their home countries were threatened by gangs and had no choice but to leave. Now, many of them smuggled here are forced to work on farms to pay off those debts. So they were forced to do it, so they're all slaves? If you want to argue these people weren't safe at home and had no choice but to flee, and now their only option was die or work on a farm, I'd call that slavery.
Yeah.
In which case, these people, Trump is liberating slaves.
So he is Lincoln-ish.
We're getting there.
To be fair, that was my legal argument. I think the child slavery thing is 100% correct.
Yeah.
And I'm not really surprised no one in media is admitting that Trump found child slaves.
Yeah. No, it's just easier to say, strawberry fields.
Right.
What Congressman said that over the weekend. They're picking up
doing-
families
just
working
breathing
on
those things
strawberry
down.
fields, like when the Poole family goes strawberry picking in spring, right? Like mom and dad and kids, and like.
And then Trump's masked guys with skulls are just beating
Lord,
children.
It's a level of evil that is hard to comprehend, and yet we have to pretend to have rational conversations.
demonic.
It is. Oh, it's purely demonic. Purely demonic. And Gavin Newsom with his slick back hair defending the cartels trafficking girls on pot farms, who, by the way, donated one of the biggest pot farms that was raided was a donor to his campaign. Right?
Newsom?
So to
Trump
Newsom's
should shut the
campaign.
pot farms down.
So
I'm so sick
it's just evil.
of the weakness.
Yeah.
Yeah, who did I have on? We were on the Culture War, and I said this is why I'll never be in government. And I can't remember. We had Dr. Chloe, Dr. Drew, and Naomi Best, and someone asked like why, and I was like, no one would dare let me anywhere near that seat of power.
No.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would agree with me when I say, oh, what was that child slave labor on your pot farm? The federal government is federalizing, seizing it, and shutting it down. Done. Not to mention it's illegal federally anyway. Now, I'm not an anti-weed guy. I am not somebody who thinks it should be illegal. I'm more of a regulate, more on the libertarian spectrum when it comes to a lot of drugs. I don't want anybody doing them. I just don't know if having a law that's not being enforced does anything. But that being said, at the bare minimum, it's an illegal drug. Okay, it's the federal government says it's illegal, and they found child slaves. How hard would it be to send one guy with a clipboard and be like, shut your farm down?
Yeah.
It's okay to be against a business that has child slaves.
Yes, I don't care what the business is.
We give you permission, Democrats. You are allowed to be opposed to child slavery. But this is why they call Trump derangement syndrome, right? Because if Trump did it, it has to be wrong.
Yeah,
So you start adopting positions that just absolutely make no sense. It's when you have devout pro-Israel Jews Democrats coming out and being like, well, I oppose the Iran strike. It's like, whoa. We can talk about that. But you have 40 years on the record saying you would appreciate this. It's like, but Trump did it, so therefore it's wrong.
Right.
Trump derangement syndrome is so sick that Democrats in California will defend slave labor on a pot farm.
Well, now, when I talk about the escalation and threats of violence, there's a lot of people who have made posts. One guy got, I think, like 10 million views saying, if masked men are kidnapping your family, you have a right to defend yourself. And it's like, in the vaguest of contexts, if you're at home and a guy in a balaclava kicks your door in and grabs your daughter, yes, everyone recognizes that. But when there's duly sworn in law enforcement with an announced raid showing up with police vehicles, and you're like, but they're wearing masks. You have no right to shoot those cops when you know they're engaged in lawful law enforcement activity. But now I'm seeing more doofy liberal types saying the exact same thing. This is the sentiment on the rise on the left, which I believe we will see more and more people ambushing and shooting at ICE.
Yeah.
We saw two groups, July 4th and July 7th, and then a few days later, some guy at one of these riots pulled out what appeared to be a pistol and appeared to be shooting at federal law enforcement.
Yeah, it's going to continue.
I feel like there's been a large increase in violence that's kind of been normalized and just been swept under the table, like that we forget about it after one news cycle happens. So obviously there was the Luigi Mangione stuff. Recently there was also in Minneapolis a couple of lawmakers that were shot. Where obviously
that was the Vance Butler guy.
We're obviously coming on the
yesterday we had a shooter
anniversary
in a church.
of the Trump shooting.
The Idaho guy going after
like,
the first responders.
And then multiple assaults or shootings against ICE officers.
Israel embassy thing.
Outside, and that
it's
just
been nonstop.
The next day, it just seems like, oh yeah, but I don't know if that's just in my head if we're noticing that more, but it seems as though we spend less time concerned on these acts of violence when they do happen, and I think it is very concerning. Because I think we're going to see this trend continue.
Well, and then you hear nonsense politicians like Tim Walz say, like, Democrats have to get nastier. It's like, how much nastier do you need to get, right? I mean,
They have to actually take the skin off their face and reveal the lizard.
it's starting with the Bernie Sanders supporter who shot up the congressional baseball game.
Yeah,
right? Like,
true.
there really isn't a prominent act of political violence that has come from the right. January 6th. I know that's why they always have to go back to January 6th.
Yeah, but not only will they murder you, but everybody on their partisan side will justify it. I think that's one of the big issues too. I feel like back in the day we used to come to a consensus where vigilante justice was bad, but now like, oh, if it supports my political ends, I do support it. And I guess the reason why that's so concerning is because many people have many political political beliefs that they hold with deep conviction. But if we let people go down about vigilante justice, we'll end up in a really crazy place. The thing I'm implying, by the way, is there are people right now who are pro-life who believe that there is a Holocaust going on within abortion clinics. What does that make you justify in your beliefs and makes you believe you should be able to do in vigilante justice is endless if you're justifying.
Hopefully, you don't want to take someone else's life if you're pro-life, but we should put an end to all those human sacrifices.
If you're just yeah, go ahead.
Let's join.
I mean, if doing that saves more lives than it ends, I don't know, man. You could make an argument.
Let's jump to this next story. We have this from Mario Nawfal. Breaking Rep. Ro Khanna. I am demanding the release of the Epstein files. Rep. Ro Khanna has introducing amendment to demand the full release of the Epstein files. Now, this is a Democrat who's doing this. Let's play the tape.
Mr. Speaker, I introduce today an amendment demanding the full release of the Epstein files. The Speaker's Rules Committee should demand a vote tomorrow of every member of Congress. Yes, we should release it, or no, we should not. This is a question of whose side are you on? Are you on the side of protecting the rich and the powerful who've put their thumb on the scales of government to suck out millions of dollars while working class Americans suffer? Or are you on the side of the people? The Attorney General said on her desk was the Epstein file. And now she's saying, no, 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 nothing to see, don't release it. This is a question of trust. We need to release the Epstein files so we can restore government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And every member of Congress tomorrow should be forced to vote on this amendment.
So here's the conundrum, I suppose. If this does go to a vote, I doubt it. Who do you think votes yes? I don't know that it would be Democrats. Like, this is brilliant by Ro Khanna.
I think
shout out.
Both sides.
We do
vote
disagree
yes
on quite a bit, but he's the best the Democrats have. I want the files released. I don't care if Trump's in them. If Trump's in them, I want them more. How about that? But Rep. Ro Khanna.
Yeah, I want them exactly the same amount, regardless of who's in them. And I want to know the full context of everything, and I want to know everything that every person has done so we can prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law for all this stupid shit.
Saying this, Democrats are not all going to vote yes on it.
Regardless of who
vote yes on it. So it's not going to go to a floor vote at all. So this is an interesting play that can't be played.
Yeah, and Ro Khanna represents Silicon Valley, and his office is getting a lot of phone calls right now from some pretty rich dudes who are like, hey, I remember that contribution you asked for me? How about you shut up about the damn Epstein files? There's a lot of people in Silicon Valley who are probably a little too close to that file who don't want the thing released. So
I want the
Roe will
files-
back down
I
from
want the
this.
files released, but I also don't know why anyone should trust what we see when they're released.
So
That's
that's the issue with all of the Epstein files, though. It really speaks to how no matter what is released, you will never be satisfied unless it really confirms your
But
priors.
I want the government to be turned inside out so we can decide. And this is a step in the right direction.
Ro Khanna's a cynical political clown. He didn't do this during the Biden administration for a reason. It's because he didn't give a shit. He's only cynically using this as a ploy to be the man of the hour.
Yeah.
Mr. Gaines, who do I sign this
he's
check
made
out
it.
to?
Just pull that gentleman off the chair and take the chair. It's all yours. Myron made it.
Yeah, I did.
It was a lightning hold, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, man. It was,
I knew it.
Nuts.
I knew it. I used to work in
Gonna
the
make this
airport.
dude
That's how
move
I
a
knew.
puppet after being stuck on a plane. Welcome to IRL. Here's a puppet.
It was literally they said, "Oh, lightning." Well, I was like, "Wait, there's no lightning. What's going on here?" So,
They get the lights. They flash on top, and that means no ground personnel can go on the ground.
oh yeah, dude, we were there for like 2 hours.
Dang.
Absolutely nuts. Actually, it was the Jews that made me late. No, I'm
Oh
just
yeah.
All right, I was going to say, who do I write this
They
check
do
out
control
to?
the weather.
psyops that you're doing are crazy
It was
right
a lot
now.
specifically. But we were just talking about Ro Khanna has called for an amendment to be filed and voted on the floor tomorrow in Congress, releasing all the Epstein files.
Not even gonna lie. I don't even find that funny. I actually find that super fucking annoying. Like, no matter where I look on the right now. Like, for example, when Kanye West came on his shit and was talking about how everything is the fucking Jews' problem and it's all their fault and all this stupid shit, they were like, bro, what the fuck you talking about? But now it's like, everywhere I turn, if there's fucking anything at any point in any industry where a Jew has been part of something bad happening, regardless of like if it was just some one bad guy or not, it's just all the Jews. Like, and it's all the jokes are about the Jews, and like it's just fucking annoying. I hate it. It's the dumbest shit.
good. I mean, that was a huge blunder by the Trump administration, was saying like, "Oh yeah, nothing to see here, guys." Especially when several members of the cabinet were saying like, "Yeah, we're going to release the files." Whether it was Kash Patel, Bongino, J.D. Vance, they'd all said this stuff on podcasts earlier. So it looked really bad for them to just be like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And then even when Pam Bondi, "Oh, it's on my desk," obviously she played it back. She was like, "Oh well, I was referring to the entire file. I was referring to JFK and everything else," which you can get that plausible deniability, but it looked really bad. And then I was listening in on what you guys were saying before with the mayor of LA and the Trendor Araguas and everything else. The other thing also that could happen, I don't know if they would do this, but since they're labeled a terrorist organization now, you could use the full force of the Joint Terrorism Task Force, JTTF, and go after them for material support of terrorism. And the reason why that would be good is because when you use the JTTF, you get a dedicated AUSA. You can go ahead and get DOJ Maine involved. You get an enormous amount of resource when it comes to prosecuting these types of cases, because I've done those national security cases before. And when you involve the JTTF, it becomes a way bigger deal.
They should. As for the Epstein files, there's something. I have an interesting thought on this. Like Ro Khanna, I like Ro Khanna. I disagree, but we came on the show, we had a discussion, and I see where he's coming from. I've made this point with a lot of people on immigration. People will always vote to protect themselves, their friends, and their families. So Ro Khanna, being the child of immigrants, is like, I want to protect immigrants. Me, as someone born American, and I mean, admittedly, my grandmother, my grandmother on my mom's side was an immigrant too, but my family is largely American, so I'm like, I want to maintain the American tradition. So I respect it. That being said, if all the Democrats came out tomorrow and were like, yeah, release it, I'd be like, wait a minute. What do they, like, what's their play here? Now, to be
Would
fair,
they change?
okay, right, I'm not going to tell them no, but what is the Democrat motivation if they actually were to vote on it? I don't trust them.
They've got fake files that have all their enemies on it.
Maybe, yep.
The problem with that argument, though, is that I don't trust any of them at all. I don't trust Trump. I don't trust Pam. I don't trust Biden. I don't trust none of these fucking people. So if we're going on trust, then nothing's ever going to happen because I don't trust any of them. I genuinely don't believe any of these people are ever going to do anything that's actually going to change anything. It's all just going to be a constant shit show. Always.
For the Democrats, it's just a distraction.
What if? Okay, and I know that the liberals are gonna clip this. Okay, let me just start by saying I'm gonna intersplice my sentences. The Epstein files should be released, and if Trump is on them, good, release them even more. But what if Democrats had, and I think Trump should be releasing these files, fake files that Trump, he should be releasing all the files, left behind so that if Trump or whoever came in and all the files, all the Epstein files need to be released, they would stumble upon and go, wait a minute, this is all fake. And then it's like, release it. And then the Democrats say, release it. And you're like, that's a clever play.
Well, let's be honest here, right? So, like, as far as like the client list goes, we already know who a lot of his clients were, right? You know, I've done a show with Ryan Dawson. We talked about this. You know, the thing is that, like, you know, the cool, sexy celebs, we already know who they are. There's a lot of billionaires that no one knows about. The real thing that's interesting is people want to know, who do you work for? Which component of Israeli intelligence do you work for? You know, I think the former Prime Minister Naftali came out and said, oh, he didn't work for the Mossad or the Israeli government. But, you know, other people were like Winnie Webb say that he worked for Oman, right? The IDF's component. So we'll see. But I think the thing that's most important, Oman, they're basically, it's like their DIA. Oman.
So, that's the actual organization.
Yeah, it's called Oman. Yeah, no, it starts with an A. A lot of people get, what are you talking about? Yeah, it starts with an A. Yeah, it's like a component
weird,
of,
small country
of their IDF.
We know Epstein
Myron,
was
what-
friends with Ehud Barak, who was the former prime minister.
Yes, he got caught there a million times.
And Bongino himself said on this show, Middle Eastern intelligence, perhaps. And then everybody laughed when he said Middle
Yeah,
Eastern.
we all know which Middle Eastern country that is. Okay, but you know, I think the real thing that people are interested in isn't necessarily like people say the client list. We already know who's going to be on the list. I think the thing people are most interested in is you know, who he was working for, what information he was collecting, why he was collecting, and how he was going about actually doing all this. And I do think it's important for people to realize that when it comes to Epstein, I've talked about this a bunch, and I really want to kind of aware the audience on this. So I used to, for those that don't know, because I'm like new here, I guess, with some of the people, I was a former special agent with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI. So I had a top secret clearance, and I dealt with high-side stuff and law enforcement stuff. And the thing with Epstein is, obviously, there's a criminal case on the human trafficking side, right, with what he did, and then there's also the high-side stuff about, you know, what he was doing when it comes to intelligence. Now, the FBI is obviously going to have a file on him for the criminal side, but they're also going to have what we call the high side, which is going to have a file on all the classified stuff. It's important to note that the FBI is only going to have stuff pursuant really more to domestic intelligence gathering that he was doing here. But when it comes to foreign intelligence, that's going to be the CIA, right? So I do think that, you know, we've been beating up Bongino and Pam Bondi and stuff for their blunders. I get it, Kash Patel, valid criticism. But I do think we need to expand it. If we want everything, we need to bring Tulsi Gabbard in, because she's really going to have everything as a DNI, because all the intelligence components, the IC community, are going to have slivers of all of this stuff that Epstein was doing based on the fact that he was also working with a foreign government. So the CIA is absolutely going to have a file, NSA is going to have a file, DIA is going to have a file, all these guys. So I do think that we don't just need the FBI stuff, we need the CIA stuff and NSA stuff, everything, because since we know this guy worked for foreign
Literally
intelligence,
everything.
FBI's not going to have everything.
What do you think the reason is for Trump
I want
saying
to
nothing to see
know
here? and move along?
everything.
You know, controversial take. I think a big part of it is to protect Israel. I think that Israel's in a
Is that
very
the controversial part? I feel like that's a less controversial thing. to
Well,
say.
well, let me tell you why. I think the reason why is because right now Israel is in a very bad political space when it comes to approval, both internationally and the United States. You know, people are being very critical of the country right now. They're in a very sensitive time where I would say the next 2 years is going to dictate the landscape of the Middle
Yeah, I
East for a
don't-
very
I don't
long time.
care what's happening in
And
Israel.
you know, they want to attack Iran again. You know, the ceasefire is BS.
Same
They're
with
going to
that.
absolutely, you know, do another phase of the conflict
don't
because
care what's happening in the
for all
UK.
intents and purposes, I think the United States and Israel lost this conflict. And
Or
I can
Russia.
That's
go
crazy.
into.
Can I ask you what is
Don't
the
live there.
what evidence?
Yeah, I think
Give
they
a
lost.
What
fuck.
evidence do you have that that Jeffrey Epstein worked for Mossad?
Well, I mean, between the former prime minister going to his house as much as he did,
He gave
Yeah,
Ehud
but Bill-
Barak, he gave Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel, $200 million for research we don't even know
Bill
what it went to.
Clinton
Hold up.
worked closely.
Hold up.
with
Alad.
Sure, they all did.
Alad,
Yeah.
you can't
So
talk
this
about
isn't
you can't talk
evidence.
about Epstein without talking about Robert Maxwell, who was working with the Mossad
Yeah.
as a part of a huge scandal, the Promise scandal in the 90s.
Didn't
Like
Maxwell's father say something about
That's Robert Maxwell. Like
Right,
Ghislaine
absolutely.
Maxwell's dad was embedded with the Mossad, but also the Soviets, also Eastern
Tucker
European.
Carlson's
Protected their nuclear
father worked
program?
for the
Bro, Robert
CIA.
Maxwell
I mean, it's
protected
a-
their
I know,
nuclear
crazy.
I know,
program.
but this isn't. You know, again, you guys are like reaching for strength. So Tucker Carlson's father worked for the CIA. Is
Yeah,
anything-
and that's also
Yes,
suspicious.
and is
Okay.
anything,
then what's your
Yeah, I
argument?
don't- I don't
An-
find
an-
argument
the
is
second thing was true.
family
no, my
work in the
argument is that
government.
just because you're the son of somebody, or that you've
That
been
doesn't
Yeah, but
always
CIA is
imply
American.
that there's
country.
something going on.
No, I
CIA
know.
is America.
Your
So
girl,
Donald Trump was seen with again Jeffrey Epstein. So was Bill Clinton.
Donald Trump used to hang out on Robert Maxwell's boat.
So
Like, there's
you
a
could
deep
make the same
connection.
argument that you're making for Jeffrey Epstein working for Mossad that he worked for CIA because
Do
he
you
was
think
seen
Saudi
with-
Arabia makes more sense as the
Yeah,
Middle
I'm not
Eastern
really a
intelligence
huge
agency that
fan
he was
of
working
guilt by
with?
So I'm going to pull a Charlie
association
Kirk, and I
unless you
actually
can
believe
prove
that
one
the
of the people
president is
knew.
handling this properly. And
Oh,
if there was any,
I'm leaving.
One of the external
I think the real
to
issue
the person
here,
that was
I
doing
think a
the
real
wrong
lesson people
knew
can
that
learn
he
is
was
that
doing the wrong.
Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, Pam Bondi over-promised and under-delivered. That's the real issue here. Another handing it to one another like a hot potato. Pam Bondi brought in all the influencers to make them all look really stupid, and then she said,
Right, yeah, no,
and then
I
she
agree
said-
that was an out.
Wait, let me finish. And
agree
then
that's
she
an
said,
out.
"Oh, gee whiz, I didn't get enough info. Wait, let me go ask Kash Patel from the FBI for more stuff,"
right,
because
but
she was
hold
trying
on.
to dump it onto him.
Let me ask for Shannon.
I agree that was an
let,
L.
let me ask.
I agree that.
Do you think they kept the files and still had them sitting around,
No.
knowing Trump was coming
No.
in? It.
Well, again, I think if we're only going to look at the DOJ and FBI,
Since the court case where Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, I do not see a reason, even for like record keeping purposes, how it would be more beneficial for them to keep this shit around than to just get rid of it. Considering the scale at which they're saying all this shit was happening, like, the people involved would definitely have gotten rid of all of the shit and replaced it with, like, some dumb shit. Or just not even replaced it at all, just completely disappeared it somewhere. It's absolutely what would happen. No one who has power over a situation that is going to land them in prison when that evidence of that is being released is just going to be like, yeah, no, that's fine. We're just going to let that happen. No. No, that's absolutely not what's going to happen. Absolutely not. And anyone who says otherwise is fucking delusional.
we're only getting a slice of the pie. I think that this is way bigger, and we need to bring the entire intelligence.
Anyone who thinks that this wouldn't happen, just remember the fact that we are in the country where, like, MK Ultra took place, like all that kind of shit. Like, the government will do fucked shit if they can get away with it. And in this case, since they were the people in control of literally everything from, like, the top down there, I wouldn't be surprised if the fucking atoms that the fucking evidence was made of are all fucking, like, scattered on different continents. Like, I absolutely think it's possible.
Intelligence community and based on the nature of the type of intel he was working.
I don't
just-
think
I'm
Byron
just-
Gaines or
okay,
Shane
okay,
will ever be
okay.
satisfied with
Okay,
whatever
right,
comes
right,
out of these
right.
documents.
Whatever. My point, what I'm saying is,
Or we're not going to get him, is my point.
I don't see. I agree with you a lot that they overpromised and underdelivered.
Sure.
Cash he went on Glenn Beck's show and they said, who's got the Epstein's black book, and he says the FBI does. Absolutely.
The FBI director.
The FBI director. And he says it's directly under the control of the FBI director. But the idea that anyone who could be implicated knew Trump was going to be coming in and had months of advance notice and just sat back and did nothing, they had to have been saying, all right, clear it out, get the files, anything incriminating, and then you have an entire administration making.
I also don't think anything in that situation would be plausible either, because literally every single time Trump has run for president, literally nobody thought he was going to win the first time at all. And then the second time around, everybody on the Democrat side were absolutely sure that he was going to lose. So there was no way in hell that they were preparing anything for when he won, because they didn't think it would happen.
Promises that they get in there and they go, we got nothing.
So,
You know who's
this
gonna have
answers your
everything?
question. This answers your question. Why did Ro Khanna introduce this? And this is
Because
why.
no one's going to vote
No,
on it.
no.
Yeah,
Political.
no
This
idea.
is why. Because now we're not talking about illegal immigration. We're not talking about defunding Planned Parenthood. We're not talking about. We're not
That's
talking
bad
about.
for Democrats.
We're not talking about. No, but it's bad for America. It's bad for our movement.
No,
we're not
no,
talking
no,
about
no.
all the other things. Because all we're talking about is Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. So this is why
I
Ro
disagree.
Khanna dropped
No
this.
way, no
'Cause
way.
Let's keep talking
The
about Jeffrey
Epstein-
Epstein.
the Epstein-
So all these
no, no.
other battles that where we can fight.
Okay, I get it.
We're not going to
No.
fight them because we're
This-
going to focus
no,
on
we get
Jeffrey
it.
Epstein all
I
the
get it.
time. Jeffrey
This is the
Epstein.
best
Dude,
thing
can
that
you
ever happened to
shut the
Trump.
fuck
Jeffrey
up
Epstein.
It's the best thing.
For like 2 seconds?
It has turned the noise off of all of the other stories onto a story that can't go anywhere. If there's no files and there's no
Yeah,
and
I absolutely agree with this. The fact that all of these people are making this the main focus is fucking stupid. Like, it's all shit that's already happened. Like, we can't go back and stop it. So that's not gonna happen. So the only thing that can come from this is just prosecuting people at the top, which also probably isn't going to happen. So, like, as much as I wish all of the shit would come out and it was 100% truthful and we had all the shit on everybody, I don't see it happening. Just what I want for and what is actually realistic, it's just two very different fucking things.
like, do we really believe they're sitting on a trove of documents being like, we could release it anytime?
No.
Come on, anybody implicated knew Trump was going in, that if he could release it, they would have gotten rid of most of the incriminating stuff at the bare minimum. In Trump's first term, everybody in all these liberals in media made the argument that anytime Donald Trump had bad press on one of his policy decisions, he would tweet something unrelated to policy, some cultural issue. So I'm not saying this is why it's happening, but it may be that Trump, one rumor I heard is that he's using the blackmail to force through his agenda. I don't know if I believe that. I think the likelihood is overpromise, underdeliver, and when they get in, it's like, oh, we actually can't deliver on these promises. But more importantly, Trump raiding farms and sending in, ICE agents to people fighting in the streets. There was like a 20-something-year-old woman who fought an ICE agent in Boston or something like that. Yeah. And now the only thing anyone's talking about is this nebulous story, subject to debate, called a conspiracy theory. The last thing Trump wants is a heavy focus of national unrest on his immigration rates.
So that's why he's doing it.
I do think the story is
know.
important, and we should not be talking about it, because I think if our foundation of this country is comprised of sexual blackmail, which it has been since the dawn of time, obviously not this country. But hold up, but like since Hoover took over FBI, we know the mafia was sexually blackmailing him for being with his gay lover in a New York City hotel. This is what the country's been doing. So if our foundation's comprised of that, it's that foundation's got to be destroyed. I don't care what the repercussions are. I don't care who the people in the prison story are.
Wait. What if the repercussions are? And this is, I'm not saying, I know people are getting mad. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying, how would you feel if Ro Khanna's amendment goes through, all Democrats vote on it, and a couple of Republican defectors vote on it, and they get the documents, they're released, and let's just say it's not incriminating for Trump, but it does destroy the strength of the federal government tremendously, and then Democrats mount a resurgence, and we get a communist takeover in 2 years.
Let God sort it out.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah, it doesn't also.
Even if it means communist takeover.
You don't know. That means you're never gonna know.
My point is,
it will destabilize.
My point is, I don't think it's likely. I'm not saying it will happen.
Right.
But I'm saying, would you regret the decision should communists take over from
I lived in New York most of my life. So I'm pretty used to communist takeover.
Right. I guess, like,
Yes is
So,
that.
yeah, I
mean,
mean, like,
you
because
say
I'll
that.
regret it.
Yes.
I don't know if I would regret it, because if
it
we
leads to
don't, if we
communism.
do not, we're already in communism. We're talking about Karen
No,
Bass.
we really
Look,
are
Karen
not
Bass is
in
funding an
communism.
invasion in
Donald Trump is
California.
president. We are not.
Like,
we are not.
I had a
communists.
genocidal
I don't
maniac
think
in
you
New York.
understand
Cuomo.
what you're talking about.
And then we have this genocide, this sexual blackmail operation running the country. I'd like to see that come undone.
So
we already have.
I agree.
Mom,
Bro, do you, guy, really think that the petty amount of shit that we have that you consider communist is as bad as it would be if it was just like straight up like communist takeover? Is that what you're actually saying right now? Because I don't think you believe that. That or you're fucking retarded. One of the two.
Donnie, whatever his name is in New
completely
York,
agree.
like I don't
Drop
care
him.
what the repercussions are going to be.
This is
Yeah,
why
they got to release it because the people already have very low confidence in the U.S. government, so
Yep.
they need to drop them at this point. Now, here's the thing.
And the government deserves it.
I think they need to drop them, but I don't think they are because there's going to be national defense information in there. It's going to not just compromise our national security, but also Israel's. They're in a tumultuous time right now when it
I don't
comes
give a
to
fuck about that.
getting a hegemony in the Middle East. It's just not going to happen.
Let me add. I agree with you on the Israel
Took
thing.
them 60.
If it's compromising our military in the sense that like it's shit overseas where I don't think we should be anyways, then I also don't care about that. We shouldn't be there. So
Years to give us JFK.
I
Everybody's
think-
dead.
Apparently,
I
they
think
didn't even give
okay,
us JFK.
all right. I think it will cause problems for Israel.
Still not out there.
I think it will cause problems for the CIA, the FBI, the entirety of the U.S. intelligence apparatus.
Yep.
No.
And I think there's going to be several
Not the
other
entirety.
countries involved in this as well that goes beyond just CIA and Mossad, probably MI6.
Sure.
So
All the
I
Five
think
Eyes.
a strong possibility, too, is Trump's hands are effectively tied. Now, we could make the argument, do it anyway, but it may be that Cash, Dan, Pam, Trump, and Blanche, they get in there, and they've got the UK, all the Commonwealth nations, not just Israel, but you've even got Saudi Arabia, and they're like, you do this, and you're cooked. And Trump's like, what do we do, guys?
Well, not just that. Like,
Do it.
keep in mind, like Patel and Bongino, everyone's so
Because
focused
we're
on
America.
FBI.
We don't give a
The people
fuck.
that are going to have the real sauce is going to be the CIA and what Tulsi Gabbard has. Because since this guy was collecting information for a foreign government, the FBI's information is going to be limited, right? And I'll be honest with you guys, because I've worked with the FBI. They're a mediocre intelligence gathering agency, okay? They just
Yeah.
are. Because unlike, so with the FBI, they have to actually operate within the rules to a degree versus these other intel components don't care, right?
Yeah, the FBI makes more terrorists than they find. That's... I don't trust the FBI with anything. They're just terrible, like in every possible way. Like they'll jail citizens for no reason. They'll convince people that are mentally ill to go commit terrorist attacks, or not even actually go do them. They'll convince them that they should do them. And when they start making even the tiniest amount of prep for it, when they could still stop, they could still not do it, they'll still just fucking ruin your entire life. Arrest you, imprison you for like ever, especially since like the Patriot Act allows you to have like infinite detention time, and they literally can just hold you for no fucking reason.
So like when the CIA is doing a lot of things that they were doing abroad during the war on terror, the FBI left. They didn't want to be involved in a lot of that stuff because it destroys their ability to do prosecutions. Because when we're doing prosecutions versus collecting information, two completely different things. So if we really want to know what was going on, Tulsi Gabbard's going to have everything. She's the real person that's going
No,
to
she's not.
trust
She
what's
just
there?
got an office.
Because it's been through so many hands over all these years.
She's not gonna have everything.
honestly, dude, I don't think we're ever going to get the full transparency
Guys.
just because people are alive, the nature of what he was doing,
Yep.
the national defense of not just that it's NDI, but it's going to affect us. It's going to affect Israel. This is a very
Even that means nothing. Like, the fact that the people are still alive, that's not going to mean anything. When these people die, and their family members are still, they still all have all this money and power that they got from all that corrupt shit, they're still going to try to maintain whatever they can. It's not like the people are going to die and then they'll be like, oh, well, fuck my family, you know? We're just going to release everything that will ruin their lives for sure. No. It's not going to happen.
a turbulent time for Israel where they obviously need as much support. If the info came out at this time, it's like the worst time it could ever come out for Israel. So,
I
But do you
one of
agree
the-
with MI6 as well?
sure, for sure. I wouldn't be.
I
A
think-
lot of
I
these
think-
agencies work together, so I wouldn't be
The
surprised.
Five Eyes Spy Club?
Of course, yeah.
Because you say Israel, and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I agree, but let's make sure we mix in the other people. And I agree, they're probably a large
Sure.
component, but the Five Eyes Spy Club is
Yeah.
not.
But they're in the most
Say they heard
sensitive
about Israel,
political
I don't
climate right
care.
now. Is my point. That's why I said
Yeah,
Israel. Israel
It's
has the most
literally
sensitive.
both
They're in the middle of
sides.
several wars.
Bro,
They're-
I
you know.
think I don't. Not that I got you two here. Like, I don't see how Israel survives the political climate right now in the United States over the next 10 years. I think their funding is pulled in 10 years, 20 years maybe.
I don't
I think it
it's gonna
becomes a
be that
partisan
long.
issue, but I still think the Republican Party will stay pro-Israel at least for the next.
Did you hear Tucker
20
Carlson
years.
at TPUSA?
Yeah, but I think when you see
was there.
actual elected officials, I think there's a disconnect from social media and in real life and how people vote in Congress. I think the bigger issue with the Epstein story here is that if it doesn't confirm your priors, whatever you thought would be happening with this story, then you're not going to think enough stuff is released. So, for example, if Mossad is not implicated, Myron Gaines will not be satisfied. If Donald Trump is not
I don't even think
implicated,
Mossad was the one.
if Donald Trump is not implicated, then the Democrats won't be satisfied. So I think for so many different people, if X or Y or Z person
worried
isn't
about the
included,
kids
then
who
you're
were
not going to think
trafficked.
there is enough.
I'm worried
no
about
matter
the kids
what.
who were trafficked that people went to prison for.
No,
Jeffrey
you're not.
Epstein was in jail in Florida
So allegedly,
for underage stuff. You know, Ghislaine.
No, you are not about that. You just aren't. Because hearing you talk about it, you're not talking about like the kids, it's all just like how much you hate the people,
Is in jail right now for trafficking
which I'm not saying is unjustified. So don't get that twisted. But
underage
Sure,
kids.
trafficking
Just don't lie
allegedly
about your
people
reasoning.
to Jeffrey Epstein and not others.
I mean,
is what is
that's-
happening according to the report.
that's the
Well,
official
let's just.
story.
Can I just? There's a pilot.
Right.
Like, come on. Like, there's other people involved in
Yeah.
this. It's so silly.
Right.
Yeah, there's staff on
Right.
that island. There's staff at his compound in New Mexico. There's
I will say that any staff that was at his place would absolutely know what was going on and should actually be prosecuted as well.
there's lots of people. There,
You can make arguments for anywhere else, but like actually like let's say on the island, anyone that is actually like working there, they know what's going on. They knew the whole time.
there are lots of process crimes.
So
where did they all go?
Is Donald Trump implicated here in hiding the ball? Is that what we're?
Nah, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but he does have a long history.
I
with
think
the
that's a
backbone.
convenient out here for somebody who, while he's
If
president.
there was a single sentence they could have leaked about Trump, they'd have leaked it.
Yeah.
If they arrested his lawyers, okay, they arrested his lawyers in multiple states. They were
Exactly
trying
why
as
I
hard
don't
as
think
they
it's
could.
going to have anything
Trump is
in it
very
that's
good at
going to matter.
timing, also, and you
Considering
mentioned
the
earlier,
witch hunt they were
is he
on
doing a lot of stuff in
with
preparation
Trump,
for the
if there was
midterms, for
something,
the
there
4 years,
would've-
right?
something would've
He
come
may
of it.
have this in his back pocket. Maybe he does want to pull a couple strings. Maybe he does want to make people dance. Maybe there are a couple senators or governors who are panicking right now that he's kind of waving this because I want X, Y, or Z done, and I'll release the list in 2028.
This is a big
I trust him.
big
to,
theory. Before the big beautiful bill, everything was Epstein talk. We're working on it. Phase 2 is coming.
Yeah.
Big beautiful bill passes. Nothing to see here, boys. Which the argument is, Trump goes to the speaker and says, "Get my agenda passed. I don't care how, or Epstein files come out." And the speaker, the organizations
couple-
behind all of the elections are going, "How much damage do we take from this?" And they're like, "It's going to be massive." And they're like, "Give Trump his agenda." Then Trump gets it passed, and he says, "Okay, deal." So he's like, the theory is, and I don't know, I'm not saying it's true, that he's using the blackmail.
I just don't think that's true.
Yeah, I mean that's a possibility. We know
Just
that
again,
this big
because if
beautiful bill
they
is
had
probably gonna
anything
be the
on him, they
biggest
would
piece
have
of
released it
legislation
just
he's
to
able
keep him
pass
from being
without the
president again.
midterms.
I mean,
so
170
big
billion
deal.
for immigration.
I just don't
Yeah, I
think
mean,
that's
there's
a
a reason why he
possibility.
compiled everything in there at once to get it through,
Yeah.
right? So
I mean,
That's a little
this-
silly, huh,
yeah.
Bixby?
This theory does kind of make you think maybe.
It defunded
No, it
Planned
doesn't.
Parenthood.
Yes, yes.
There's a lot of stuff in this one big bill.
lot, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff he got done in there.
I could see the theory being possible if his body language wasn't so bad. He didn't get
The
didn't get under his
National
skin.
Hearing
when
Protection
reporters
I don't
asked
know.
him
Am I
about
Or
it.
he's a
right,
good
guys?
actor.
He's not a good actor. He's got thin skin.
He does, but maybe the reason he got thin skin about it is because in his mind he's thinking, we're going to drop the Epstein thing because they gave me what I want and I'm going to uphold my end of the deal. And so when they ask about it, he's like, I want this to go away because I got my agenda through.
Right.
And I think he's
Maybe
also.
not.
I also don't think he anticipated that it would create this much backlash from the base as well. I don't think he anticipated. Because Trump is like one of these guys that likes to be liked. So I think the fact that so many people pushed out, this is a big reason why I think he stamped his feet when it came to bombing Iran too. Like when he said, "Yeah, we're going to bomb Iran, or we're going to, you can't have nuclear weapons." People were like, "What the fuck? No new wars." So I think that also made him kind of. He
Wait, but
does
Myron,
listen to what the
he's
people are
been
saying.
saying that.
To a degree. I'm sorry.
That wasn't ever new that he said Iran can't get nuclear weapons. He's been saying that for close to a decade
No,
now.
I understand that, but he did campaign on no new wars. So
But also
and then-
that
and then-
Iran cannot get nuclear weapons.
Yeah, but
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. As much as I was about the not having wars part, if the people that we would be fighting against are the people that just acquired nuclear weapons, and one of their favorite activities in their country, in their Congress, is to chant "Death to America." Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little concerned about that, just a little bit. As much as I am anti-war and think it's bullshit that we should be overseas doing shit in places that we don't belong, that seems like a problem. Quite a big one, to be real.
but bombing Iran was definitely taking a risk of starting a war. That's
I
a major
agree.
escalation.
And it was we were very lucky to have gotten out of that without.
And here's the thing. Look, controversial take. I think it was an L, and there's a multitude of reasons why I think
Why?
it was an L. Sure. So the reason why it was an L is because, let's be honest here, The real goal from Israel was regime change. Okay, they didn't accomplish that. They used the lie of they have nuclear weapons to justify regime change. Because if they only cared about the nuclear weapons, why did they have the Mossad in the back lines for literally months, building drones, doing it nice and slowly? Then when they launched Operation Rising Lions, what did they do? A bunch of targeted strikes, not just to kill nuclear scientists, but they also killed a bunch of generals. And they were trying to kill the Ayatollah as well. They just couldn't find them. Then when they did their strikes and everything else like that, and then the U.S. came in and finished the job, and then we did this ceasefire. It was an L, and that's why they're trying to fight again. They're trying to restart the war up again because they want a regime change, and they understand that as long as the regime is there,
It's a crazy
it's an L.
interpretation of
Well,
it.
let me tell you why it's also
I
an
would,
L.
I would say it's an L for Israel, but I don't think it's an L for Trump. I think
Well, he's able.
Trump got out of it.
He did. But obviously, a lot of his base didn't like that, right? That he bombed them. There was no need. We spent billions of dollars to do it. Right, we spent all this time and resources into doing it. Also, we spent a significant amount of money defending Israel.
We even propagandized.
Israel's spending like
we even
100 to 200 million a day just defending against the missiles from Iran.
we even propagandized the country with a $1 billion film. You guys know this, right? Top Gun Maverick.
Oh,
You think I'm kidding?
oh yeah, I saw that movie.
The movie's about, right?
Yeah.
The movie was literally about bombing the deep underground military bases in Iran.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Many people may be saying, like, how are you kidding? You think they knew? Yes, the bunker busters they use have been in development specifically
Since
for
2009. Yeah.
specifically for these facilities. So I'm not saying that the U.S. government went to Hollywood and said, make this movie. I'm saying someone doing research on the film said, we're going to make a movie.
So let me
like
tell you
this.
why this was an L for all of us. Number one, IAEA, eyes out. The last guy just got kicked out like 2 days ago, right? Two, the regime is stronger now because the people have galvanized behind the government. The people that were critical of the theocracy before, now they're like, you know what? Israel attacked us. We're united. The Reformist Party, the Conservative Party, they used to be at ends. One party wanted to go ahead and diplomacy with the United States. The other said, no, we can't trust the West. Now they finally said, you know what? Fuck Israel.
Wait,
We're
hold
going to
on.
go ahead and strike back.
But Myron, I was told by many pro-Israel individuals that the people of Iran support Israel and hate their government and
Well,
were
that's a
happy to
lie.
be bombed.
That's a lie. Yeah.
They showed a video of them dancing in the tunnels.
Dude,
Fake
like
video.
literally all the people that were like critical of the theocracy and critical of the Ayatollah and were like, yo, what the hell's going on here? Our government sucks. When Israel attacked them, they united the country. So that was another big L. And then when they had these funerals for the generals that died, which one of them they thought they killed, but they really didn't, thousands of people were showing up. So now people are saying, fuck America and fuck Israel. We survived. We won. They look at it as a W because they got attacked by both the United States and Israel. They exposed all their cards, exposing the Mossad agents, and they still didn't decapitate the regime, and they're still in power. So now our eyes with the IAEA is out. The country is galvanized behind the government. Ayatollah has more power than ever before. And on top of that, we've just given them an excuse to work harder towards a nuclear bomb. Now they're 1,000% going to get a nuclear bomb because we pulled out of the nuclear deal that we had, which was a fantastic deal, probably the only good thing that Obama did when he was in office. And we don't have transparency with what they're doing. So now they're going to get a nuclear bomb, and we're going to end up in a situation like North Korea where they're going to get the nuclear bomb to ensure that we don't fuck with them anymore.
Can I
Sure.
respond with some counter spin? It's actually very interesting because I did think Israel took the biggest L on October 7th. And since then, I think they've been taking very big W's. And the reason why I say that is because, if anything, Israel was able to defang Iran and their proxies since October 7th. So,
Sure.
for example, Gaza.
Patriot
almost-
attack was great.
If they're almost complete. Hamas was almost completely decimated. Israel was even able to assassinate Ismail Haniyeh, the leader, the political leader of Hamas in Iran, proving to Iran that no leader there is safe. Then obviously you mentioned the Beeper attack. Hezbollah didn't bother coming to the defense of Iran. Not to mention that Israel, we don't like to talk about it, was involved with the overthrowing of Assad, which was Iran's major ally in the region. And then when it did come to the 12-day war, Israel had complete air superiority, and our military weapons were proven to be much more capable than the Iranians. So as of now, I think Israel has decimated all of the Iranian proxies in the region, actually doing what I think is America's dirty work. So as far as like military position, it's hard to get an exact gauge of what's going on in Iran, but as far as the military assets,
I mean, as much as I agree with like half the shit you said there, like, I also know who you are, so I'm gonna take everything you say with a grain of salt.
and their proxies go, I think it's really hard to argue that like you're not doing anything but spin saying Israel's the one who took it out. I mean, if anything, Israel even got the United States to join their attack on Iran, which again I think would be a huge W. Netanyahu has been talking about the Americans joining in on an attack against this nuclear facility for so long, so I can't see this as anything but
let me just say this. If it was,
I gotta respond to that,
If
man.
it was the previous administration, if it was the Democrat administration, we'd have boots on the ground in Iran.
I don't think Kamala Harris would have even struck Iran if she was elected president, actually.
Maybe.
Come on, are you serious?
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
I mean, didn't we send like hundreds of millions of dollars to Ukraine to build like a dock that like fucking failed immediately? And that had like literally nothing to do with us. I'd say, yeah, they probably would have had boots on the ground if they could have.
You said it yourself. You saw the direction that the Democrats are going on with Israel. You think she would back Israel and striking Iran?
100%.
I think that would lead to a coup in the party as a result of her.
Yeah, no,
actions.
I've argued before that the Democrats. It's not about what they're doing on the surface, trying to court their Democrat base. The machine is supporting the machine. The best opportunity the Israel Critical Group has is Donald Trump, who is concerned about pissing off his base. Democrats are like, you're all chickens as far as I care. We do what we want.
Yeah, I don't. I think most Zionists also believe that the Democrats don't have Israel's back and that this was a once-in-a-lifetime presidential action by Donald Trump, and
I'm gonna agree with
Iran's
that,
more vulnerable than they've ever been. But Myron, I want to hear you.
But the reason why it's an L is because you didn't get what you really wanted. Like, so the Israeli government lied when they said we just want them to stop with their nuclear weapons. That's not what it was. It was about regime change. You guys couldn't do it.
Well,
and not only did
I
you
do
not
like you saying you guys.
Yeah, well, because he kept saying Israel, he kept saying we. So
Well,
I was
I'm
like,
talking
gonna...
about the West, the United States, and the
okay,
allies.
well,
Maybe
yeah.
when
so,
you say you're
so
talking
we
about
lost
Iran
for
and the
spending a bunch of
proxies.
money in this situation to help defend you guys, but the real problem is that we didn't effectuate the or Israel.
We were
didn't
attacking
effectuate-
you guys in the Middle East, huh, Abdul?
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm saying you were saying they were defending us. They were attacking you in the Middle East, because I'm Israel and you're Iran here.
I'm not Iranian.
Well,
That's fine.
you could pass as one. I mean, Myron Gaines, is that even your real name? I know Jews
well,
like
come
to
on.
say.
In what sense did that add anything to this conversation? Like at all? Like, that's just like throwing fucking shade for no reason. Like at all. That's just fucking rude as fuck. And honestly, it's like a little bit racist. Like if I'm for real, like if I actually have to call it out when I actually do see it, yeah, that was kind of fucking weird, man. I don't know why you would have done that. Like, why'd you have to go that direction with that?
Okay, the ad hominems.
Now you're not even talking about the subject.
No, but Jon Stewart,
No,
these
yeah,
people
what
to
the
John
fuck are we
Leibowitz.
talking
about?
Are you
No
really
problem.
Myron, or
This is
why
like-
do you?
this is
Why,
like
why,
stupid
are
as
you gonna
fuck.
argue
My name is
the point,
Mordecai.
or are you just
Anyway,
No, it's not. What is that?
Are we
It's
here to
Mordecai.
argue like if that's his real fucking name? Like, wait, how does this benefit me? Like, I don't fucking care what this guy's name is. It's not what the conversation's about.
I'm not going to sit here as you just changed the subject to insult the guy and said.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I was saying. Why I'm gonna take everything that fucking guy says with a grain of salt because I know who he is. Like I don't know why he just did all that, but like that is why I don't trust everything he says.
He was the one who said you as Israel. So I was
said we.
defending against.
Yeah, you did
I was
say we
talking
when you
about, I was talking about us striking
This is so
Iran as the
fucking
United
pointless.
States. We had
Why
their
are we
nuclear
And
still
that's a fine
clarifying
clarification.
this
You don't gotta
stupid
insult him
shit?
after he says
Yeah, I
that.
mean, the way it came, I've heard you said we multiple times after Israel, but that's fine. If you want to, that's fine. The point I'm trying to make is that the regime change was.
My friend at work has that exact fan. I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure that's the exact one, except I think he has a different color. His isn't that. His is white and is it orange? I don't know. I haven't looked at it. It's on his desk.
gold.
I don't know.
Like
But it
now
is
the
that
Israeli
exact
government
one,
is
I
going to
swear
lie
to
and
God.
say, "Oh no, we just want to go after nuclear weapons." wasn't about the nuclear weapons. That was just a pretense to try to effectuate the regime change. And they activated multiple Mossad assets in there. They did a whole bunch of airstrikes. Then they had the United States come in and do the coup de grace, and they still couldn't effectuate the regime change. And the regime is still in power. They're more resolved now than ever before. They're united before. That fractured government that people used to, rely on, saying like, yes, we could go ahead and get an uprising. It didn't work. Right? They were hoping that the Baloks would go ahead and uprise with the government. It didn't work. Now they're behind the government even more so. And now they got the IAEA out, who was giving information to the Israeli intelligence apparatus. They're gone. So now they're 100% going to get a nuclear weapon.
So
Here's the other thing,
them
too,
staying
also.
in power is the win? Is that it? Just staying in power?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds
absolutely,
like a
because
consolation prize.
and the
No.
reason why that's a win is because Israel's goal was to get them out of power.
Okay, and what's
That's been
Iran's-
Israel's goal
what's
for
Iran's
100 years.
goal? Wait, what's
They
Iran's
just
goal
used
in
the
the
nuclear
area?
weapon.
Okay, sorry, guys,
They just
guys.
used a nuclear capability
let me
as a pretense
Right.
to try to effectuate the regime change.
So let me ask
Regime
this
change
question.
is the goal.
The IAEA is out. So, I mean, that is a loss.
Huge, especially for Israel.
We were tracking what they were working on. It's how we were collecting intelligence, and now we're not going to be able to. I mean, that's not a good thing for us, right?
And here's the other thing, too, I want to say.
No, I think the IAEA was a feckless organization and not effective in doing what they were set up to do.
Okay, see, there's a point I will give you. If anyone thinks that I trust what they were reporting, no, I don't. I don't think that they would sit here and tell us that they have a nuke when they do. That's dumb as fuck. I think they would absolutely be fabricating that information, so losing this place does not actually seem like that big of a deal to me. Like, you can claim that the shit that coming from there was real all you want, and that's cool if you believe that, but I don't believe that.
Anyway, I think they had hidden nuclear facilities.
They have every reason to lie. Every reason to lie. There's nothing that they get as a benefit from not lying.
That we actually bombed that the IAEA had no access to. So if anything, to me, the IAEA is a rubber stamp for Iran.
Well, here's the other thing, too, when it comes to hidden nuclear facilities. We know about the three main ones. I guarantee you guys that there's probably other clandestine nuclear operations in Iran that we don't know about. And we know that roughly 400 kilograms of highly enriched uranium was probably moved out of Fordo prior to the bombing. So
I don't know. I wouldn't say necessarily that would mean it was going to some like black site where they're actually doing the research, but it's definitely a possibility. So I'll give you that.
however we want to slice it, right? Let's go with the White House commentary. 1 to 2 years, right, that we pushed back the nuclear program. Well, now they have the capability. They've already mastered the cycle. They can go ahead and enrich uranium at a high level. Now all their scientists are gone. They're going to go ahead and get a nuclear bomb, and now they have even more resolve to do so. So I look at it like the reason why this was an L is because the Israeli government will lie and say, oh, we want to go ahead and just get rid of their nuclear program. No, it's about regime change, and they could not effectuate the regime
I
change.
think that's an extremely
wait,
low
guys.
bar.
We-
Just
we-
generally to be
what's
considered
the
a
low
win.
bar?
So we hit
Stay
that
in
point.
power.
What's the low bar?
Is a win. Staying in power
guys,
is a low bar.
Oh,
It's
last
on the
thing I want
third,
to
it's
say.
on
I
the
didn't get to say
third
this.
time we've already mentioned regime change, so let's move on.
Yeah. And then the last thing I'll say is that the other thing also with the ceasefire is Israel held a lot of this information back, but they were actually getting hit pretty hard by the Iranian missiles, despite the fact that they had U.S., British,
We saw the
Jordanian help, etc.
the footage on Twitter.
The Iranian
X,
ballistic
or
missile
the fuck you
program
wanna
was
call it.
extremely competent. Hell, I think even Ben Gvir
Like,
had admitted,
they were
yeah, we got hit pretty
struggling.
hard. A couple of their strategic sites got hit. A Mossad base got hit. Oman base got hit. Now, there was a law in the books, though, where Israeli media would get in trouble for reporting this or showing the damage. But now you look, Israeli media is even admitting that they got hit pretty hard with the Israeli missiles. Hell, even Trump himself said on the last day of the bombing that Iran hit them hard. So the reality is that Israel is a glass cannon that can't even properly defend itself. Yes, it can attack, but it can't defend itself without U.S. aid. So this is why I look at it overall. This was an L for all of us.
So
and we shouldn't have gotten involved.
We're going to go to chats in a second, but I do want to just highlight this because we're getting crazy reports. They've been coming in earlier in the night about major flooding in New Jersey. So again, with all the flooding we've been seeing,
Goddamn.
yeah, right. Like Texas has been getting hit again. I think even recently, like they're saying more is coming, and
That's probably why they delayed me.
Georgia.
Fucking times
Oh,
of
this is
the
the
apocalypse,
Yeah,
man,
this
all
is
that
yeah,
fucking
like this
crazy
is
weather.
why. Yeah.
Bro, I pulled up the weather radar, Florida and the D.C. area. It's like
Yeah.
the worst possible time for
They
you to
warned
fly
me
out.
yesterday when I was going to check in. So yeah.
We've
For
had, I
everyone
think,
listening,
I think
that
we're
is
saying
a
like
joke.
we've got
I don't
close
believe in
to double
that.
the rain we normally get. It was storming again today. It's nuts. The groundwater level is insanely high. And
That is
we
crazy.
got this
Look how
little
fucking
creek
high that is.
nearby that only in the springtime does water actually flow. It's like a river right now. It's crazy. We drive past and it's flowing bigger and it's leaking onto the street because basically the street is a bridge over the creek, and the creek just flows down. In the summer and fall and winter, there's nothing. In the spring, when the snow melts, you get a little creek. We go there, and it's going so much it's going over the road. Is how crazy it's been. So, but we're gonna go to your chats, my friends. So smash the like button, share the.
Where I stay, like, about 10 miles that way, there's this whole, like, city. Well, I won't call it a city. It's like a little strip where there's lots of small businesses and shit. And there's also like a little harbor, like right on the side of the river. And when it rains hard as fuck, like that shit goes like 30 or 40 feet up. It's fucking wild.
The show with everyone you know, literally everyone. We're gonna have that uncensored call-in show coming up at rumble.com/TimcastIRL. That'll be at 10. But for now, we will read your chats and Rumble rants, so get them in while you can. Let's go. All right, Shane H. Wilder says, since the auto pen for Biden's pardons was approved by an assistant, so wouldn't that mean the assistant committed felony forgery and the pardons are null and void? I mean, if I was in office, I'd be like, charge him. But, you know, all these people are trying to play politics and they're trying to cut deals, and they're going, and you know what they're going to say to me? They're going to say, Tim, you're so naive. You don't waste leverage. They're going to say, if a dude committed a crime, you bring the DOJ in and say, here's the list of crimes you're going to be charged with, unless. And that's probably the game of politics. So that's why nobody gets charged, and we're like, why would anyone get in trouble? Next thing you know, some crackpot Democrat comes out and says, you know, I actually don't think Trump's all that bad. You know, I was concerned about the Epstein thing, and then when they said he wasn't going to release it, I was like, oh, thank God. All right, what do we got? Evan for US says, impeach and investigate Joe Biden, investigate his staff. Indeed. The Quiet Part Pod says, fact checked him. There are 86,400
No,
seconds in a day.
He's not even wrong. There's probably some people that were like that. They were
Isn't
just
that
like
what I said,
shitting
like
a brick
86?
before they came out.
I thought I was close to that number.
It sounded right to me.
Yeah, I was close. I mean, I wasn't 100% accurate, but I wasn't. Yeah, okay, thank
Trust
you.
the science.
I like precision, and precision is important.
Blazalot says, perhaps Trump's response to the Epstein files was to get Democrats to care to release the Epstein files. One of those Trump cures cancer, we like cancer now things. It would be really funny if Trump was like, the only way they'll get on board with voting to release the documents is if we claim we're not gonna.
Yeah.
And now they're like, you better. He's like, oh, here we go.
All right, you all asked for it. Here's the documents.
Elaine saying that she would testify?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And they're saying no, they won't let her.
Yeah, they're definitely not.
All right.
It's funny she's still alive, huh?
Yeah,
Let's see what we got.
Yeah, I don't
want anyone.
Yeah.
To die.
Yeah, I think her dying would have been like, okay, come on now. Like it's like
Her dad died mysteriously.
yeah.
Ethos says,
did.
Tim, the Barbary pirates were direct employees for the Ottoman Empire. Look up the story of Lieutenant Presley O'Bannon. Of course, we know this. This is why we talk about privateers and letters of marque and corsairs all the time. That is, various empires and kings and queens and governments, they commission privateers. These are people that on the surface claim to not be directly involved or taking orders, but they are given clearance and signed off on by their government. So that was the point I was making about Tren de Aragua is a gang, not Venezuela. But Trump's argument is they're signed off on. Effectively, these people are they're serving as privateers for foreign governments. That would be treason to aid and abet those individuals that are coming here to cause us harm.
Tim, I'm heading out.
All right, man.
See y'all. Gotta go do my show now. 10 o'clock tonight, Inverted World Live. We're gonna talk about UFOs and F-16s crashing into them.
I heard you had rave reviews for last Tuesday's episode.
Last Tuesday, I had a sergeant from the Fourth Reich who's been below Antarctica, where there's an 8 million population.
Fourth?
The Fourth. They're cool Jews, so you should get in touch.
I was unfamiliar there was another.
Yeah, no, he's very nice. That was Sergeant Peyton.
What if there are 8 million people underground?
Well, there was Base 211 that the Nazis went and hooked up in 1939, and there was the Operation High Jump, where there might have been a battle.
Wasn't there like some kid who took a plane and flew?
Recently, yeah. They arrested him.
Yep.
Can't go there unless you have special permission, because they're hiding the ice wall and the Nazis. I'll see you guys later.
Or it's the trees, but you know. All right, man.
I really hope that's a fucking joke.
Cheers.
Let's grab some more and see what we got going on.
Though it wouldn't be risk.
TPH says, Tim, most
would not be
podcasts
shocked
open with
if he was
music before the
retarded
show
enough to
starts.
think
Why
the
not
fucking
play
world
some
was
Phil
flat and
songs?
that there was an ice wall.
Yeah, but everybody does like a it's like a light 8-bit song of some sort. Yeah, what is it? What do you call it? Trip hop? Yeah.
Yeah, beats to study too. Lo-fi type.
Lo-fi beats to study too. T. Boyd says, Tim, all these politicians swear an oath to uphold the Constitution and laws. They are breaking their oath and committing treason.
I don't think these people take that oath very seriously.
Yeah, they're just saying things. All right, what do we got? Robbie Sir says, I think Epstein could have trafficked adult, high-paid hookers and kids. I have a feeling they weren't all kids, so you could be a customer and not a PDF file. Yeah, no, I
No, he
think
did both. Yeah, he
Right.
Wexner, his backer, owned Victoria's Secret, so he definitely had. Well, that's how he got people involved in the first place. The way the scheme would work is he'd go there with Ghislaine Maxwell. She knew all these people from talking about saving the ocean that were powerful, and he'd bring these girls to these parties, these hot girls, and people were like, oh, who's this guy? We're bringing all these women, and that's how he kind of got known, was by bringing all the hot girls to the party.
Yep.
That were of age, and then you show up at his house. Next thing you know, there's 15-year-olds there.
Well, the argument is that there would be like a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old, and they would lie and tell you, oh, she's 18, you're good.
Yep.
Then film you, and then be like, she's not, we tricked you, and now we've got the proof, and we'll destroy your
So
life.
the way the scheme worked, like in the beginning, because I went through his old case, his state case from like 05, 06, 07, and he basically had a bunch of girls from like the local private school working for him, giving massages or whatever. So after he built he met these people in New York or at these parties, they'd go to his house in West Palm, and he already had like a network of like 10 to 15 underage high school girls that looked of age, and they would come in and do the massages or whatever, and he'd be paying them $400 or $500 a pop, and then he'd be like, you have any friends that can do this? And they're like, okay, because back then in 07, 08, $500, $600, high school kid, quite a bit of money, and then that's how he would also get like the young girls recruited.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't
All
even
right, what do we
count
got
the
here? A
amount of
free
stupid
thinking
shit you
dog
could have
says,
got
such a
me to
load
do
of
in high school for
horse-ish.
$500.
Obama made the Iran nuclear deal, and they started violating it from day one. They refused inspections and restricted any inspection that did happen. They are building a nuke. I think they're building a nuke. And I think the argument is sound that when NATO basically went in and killed Gaddafi, the message sent to the world is, if you can't defend yourself, we're coming for you.
Yeah, and literally, like, all we've done is like increase the resolve to get nuclear weapons, and then Trump pulling out of the nuclear deal was the dumbest thing we could have ever done. But he did that with enormous pressure from the Zionist lobby and Mike Pompeo.
He ran on doing that.
Well, that was like again.
He ran on
We
pulling
were
out
getting
of the
fucked
Iran
in
deal. That
that
was like
deal,
one of the
weren't we?
big things that he started
Sure,
off attacking
sure. But
Obama
I
for,
think that
before
was
all the pressure of him in office.
Yeah,
It was
but
like we were
that
giving
was
him,
but
like,
again,
that was his
loads of
platform.
money
that was a
for, like,
major
literally nothing.
mistake. And then again, the
How?
thing with Trump is
But it's like nobody's getting tricked here. I think like you're implying that we're getting tricked and he's doing things that he said he wouldn't do. But like if you were following Trump for a long time, I don't know if you have been, he's been crystal clear on a lot of these issues. So again, when he started running, he was complaining about how bad of a deal Obama got us into.
yeah.
it
But
was a
again,
shit
like I
deal.
said, it was a good deal. We
wasn't.
wouldn't have had the problems that we're having.
You're
But again,
wrong.
from enormous pressure from the Zionist lobby, that is why he said, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to pull out the nuclear deal. And then when he came in, and then Mike Pompeo, who's a very trusted advisor to him, also owned.
Yeah, just, I'll open another one. I fucking can't spell. N-U-C. I think it's Iran, right? Yeah, see that's awful. That's also awful. So yeah, from here, this just reads like we were just giving them shit, and they were just like spitting in our face. So sure, guy.
Owned by the Zionist lobby.
Sure.
Went ahead and put them on
You can claim it's a
put the
good deal
IRGC
all
on
you
the terrorist
fucking
watch
want,
list in
but, like,
2019.
it was
Pulled out
garbage
of the
and you
nuclear
know
deal,
it.
sanctioned them to hell. Like, of course, that's going to make them say, you know what, we can't even protect ourselves or fund ourselves. We're going to go ahead and get a nuclear weapon. Like, really bad foreign policy.
You seem to have some idea in your head that regardless of what we're gonna do, or that because they think that we're going to do something that they're not going to. which is absolutely not the case. Absolutely not the case.
Policy is what pushed them to
That's
do
not
that. Whereas
what
we
the
could have
world
had diplomacy, but it's always we're doing this because of Israel, because Israel wants to be the hegemony in the Middle East, and Iran's the only power
Right.
that stands against that.
All right, let's grab some more. We've got Waffle Sensei says any random intern could use AutoPen with Biden's name, and the White House would never say that it wasn't the president because of optics. Agreed. Also, I'm checking the top fans thing.
Yeah, and the fact that that couldn't happen just means that something like that should not exist, especially since apparently the security on it is so lax that some random fucking people could come in and make literally anything on any document and just pretend that Biden signed it.
Let's see what's changed. Is it going to pop up? It's like freezing on me. YouTube rolled out this
mean,
new feature where
at
you
that
can
point, like,
where you can look at your
They could have literally like printed out a document and signed it with his name saying that he was declaring war on another country, and they would have
top
just went with
fans.
it. They would
Are
just
you
been
seeing this in
"Yeah,
the
man,
chat?
Sure.
I'm,
There's like a little
trying to
crown.
Keep up.
Let's
Oh,
see.
yeah, I noticed
look at
that.
this. I can't see the full name because like, how do I even? It won't show. It says Castle with 2,075 experience. There's like a ranking list of the top engaged chats. I mean that's cool.
Maybe if you reframe it a little bit, you'll be able to see it. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. I don't
Yeah,
care that
it's
much.
fine.
I don't
Oh
think
my
it does
God.
anything. Yeah.
He speaks. You fucking you never hear him talk anymore, man. It's like one of my favorite things back when he was first put into that spot when Lydia left was the fact that he would also be like interacting just like Lydia would before him, but he just stopped. It's like he just don't want to be on camera no more, which is fine. Like I still think you're a cool guy. I still follow him on Twitter. I talk and like his shit and whatnot, but like I just wish he did more on here.
You know what I mean?
I don't think what they did with the AutoPen was just for the optics. I think it goes both ways. I think even if Biden found out what was happening, they would have said, Mr. President, do you really want us to go to the press and say you didn't know this was being done? So why don't you just be quiet?
That's exactly what happened.
So optics in every direction.
Yep. All right. Cristiano K says, Timmy, please tell me you've seen the clip of Trump celebrating with the Chelsea Football Club instead of leaving the winner's podium like he was supposed to. Legend. I did. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw
And
the
like these
photo.
liberals are like, oh, Trump's so dumb. And I'm like, no, Trump can do whatever he wants. Like,
Yeah, Trump
You
doesn't
said
care.
Trump likes to be liked.
He
and
will be
loves
wherever
things
he
like
wants.
That.
Yeah.
Winning ceremonies, UFC fights, giving people a belt, a trophy. He loves those moments.
The Nobel Peace Prize, which is hilarious that Netanyahu named him for, said, I nominate you for the Nobel Peace Prize.
There's no way in hell Trump would have left that podium with
That's
the
like a
there. And
that's like a pedo owning a daycare. Makes zero sense, man. Makes zero
all right.
sense.
Let's go to Missy with a K. Says, Tim, you promote the Discord and how
I
neat
mean,
it is. Full
sure.
of cool people and content creators like Joey Canoli from Outworld, Tyler from Tyler Today News. It'd be neat if those people were given a spotlight on your show. That was always the plan, to have our Discord members periodically joining us. So, guys, what you want to do is go to timcast.com, click Join Us, join the Discord server. It's a community of tens of thousands of people. They're all hanging out. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to eat right. Maybe you want to write a comic. Maybe you want to write a song, play video games. There's video game servers. Everybody's hanging out. Community is the most important thing.
I want to play video
I
games.
talk about this
wanna
all the
make video
time,
games.
especially with the 4th
What
of
I'm
July.
doing
How
with
I said I went to my hometown
these times
and
right
nobody
here.
was outside. Because everyone's
break from that,
online
but-
looking at pictures of cats and arguing with strangers.
break from that, so-
At least if you're going to be online, spend it with a community
Make
of
some
friends that you
content.
can play
No,
games
my
with, talk
computer.
with, and, meet space
It's
is
okay, I didn't
better,
actually
but this is
plan
a
on doing
good
anything
start.
with it.
And,
thought
of
it was cool.
course, DC Comedy Loft members get reserved preferred seating. That's right. If you're a member, the tickets are free. You just got to sign up, first come, first serve. So those are available on timcast.com if you are a member. Make sure you grab them now while you can. And tickets are going quick. We got some big names lining up. August 2nd is Michael Malice and Angry Cops debating police. That's going to be hilarious. I'm super excited for these shows because DC Comedy Loft also has chicken wings, among other things on the menu. But I'm just going to order like 50 wings and sit there eating them the whole time. I'm not literally, but, wings are delicious. All right. Large says, NatGuard set up a dragnet block by block. Let's go. All right, we'll grab some more. MAGA Millennial says, Bass wants to get arrested. The left loves martyrs.
There's
do.
truth to that, yeah.
Elliot says, I've talked to a lot of my friends, neighbors, and coworkers about the Epstein files. 90% of them had to be reminded who he was. I Agree. The issue is good for Trump that everyone's debating this stuff. I'm not saying he did it on purpose, but if the narrative is Trump raiding immigrants, and the left can keep that in the news, they'll rally people to come riot and protest. If Trump can deflect in any meaningful way, then the narrative becomes something nebulous. Like, where are you going to go? Are you going to go like stand in front of the FBI building, the new one, and be like, we want Epstein, and no one's going to care?
Yeah, and they've been running with, like, CNN has been like beating Trump up about these Epstein files the whole time, which is, I guess, kind of good because it takes eyes off the immigration stuff, which actually does create a lot of the turmoil for the administration. So I could see it as a potential media strategy as well, but yeah.
Yep. All right, what do we got? Thinker for Life says, so the Dems will push for good actions, just releasing the Epstein list, if Trump merely postures he's not in the mood for it. Now all we got to do is have Trump do an about face on something big. Yeah. Trump comes out and says, okay, fine, you've convinced me, here are the files. But I don't think he needs the support to do it anyway. He could just put it out.
Oh.
You just do it. I do think there's an interesting argument. I was talking to Kyle Seraphin today, and his argument is kind of like, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'll just give you the general theme, the general theory. The Epstein was bad. He was doing really bad things. It's not nearly as big as people think it is because it was overhyped by everybody for years. And so they basically get in and look at the files and they're like, yeah, it's bad. And it does implicate like a handful of people, but it's not like this massive end of the world government destroying release. So the general argument is overpromise, underperform, essentially. Not that there's nothing there, but that whatever they have wouldn't satisfy, and people would
I
think
actually
it would,
agree with that.
I think it was a cover-up no matter
Yeah, I don't
what.
think it's going to be like that huge. I think the thing that people really want is to know who was working for, how was collecting information. The mode and methodology is really what people want, because we already know who's kind of on the list.
But the challenge is, you said you know what people want. Yeah, but which people want this? Like, the people who want the information are politicos, deeply entrenched in the political space.
Yes.
And
the average American doesn't care.
You know what people
Or no.
want, but we don't know what the truth is what the issue is. Do you understand?
I do think that people have an idea of what, but again, it's the politicals, like you said. The average American's not going to even know. The average American doesn't even know what Mossad is, dude.
Cernovich,
or Oman.
Mike Cernovich actually got this whole thing kicked off with his initial lawsuit, and he thinks it's not Mossad because they let you say it. And, there were people's names you could not say during the Trump impeachment that if you did on any platform, they would instantly just delete your content.
And I do think it's important, and I said this yesterday on my stream, that people understand that, like, when we say, like Epstein was an asset, intel asset, that doesn't necessarily mean he was, like, a guy that clocked into work every day and was getting paid a salary. You can be an asset simply by having a handler, saying, hey, look, this guy who I know you have some interest in is going to be at this place at this time. Bam. That's enough. You're basically like a source and or someone. And the thing is with sources, because I've dealt with this before, like when I was on the job, informants a lot of times have multiple agencies they might work for. This kind of adds more credence to what you were saying, where it could be MI5, whatever. I know that they had said that he had a Saudi Arabian passport. So I wouldn't be surprised if people like him, what they do is, to protect themselves, is they have information on a whole bunch of different people, and they feed it to whoever they need to keep themselves protected. So this is why he's collecting dirt on both people on the right and on the left.
All right. Kick the Ball says, indentured servitude is illegal under federal law. It's a form of slavery. The Trafficking Victims Protection Act enacted in 2000. Agreed. That's what I was saying. Any adult who came here with a coyote or a cartel or whatever, and they said, you've got to work to pay off this debt, they are slaves. They're enslaved. And so, Democrats, once again, pro-slavery, I guess. Jenny Vet says, Tim, my first child was born today, a beautiful boy. I was hoping to get a Phil Metal yell. Maybe next time. Love you guys. Congratulations.
That's great.
There was a great post where, it was kind of silly. There was like this dude on a private jet, and he was like 42, big crypto portfolio. Guess where I'm taking my jet to? And I think it was Jason Howerton was just like, he was like, I was hanging out with my kids today. There's nothing more valuable or whatever. And I'm like, you don't need to rag on a guy just because he's on a jet and he's excited and he's having a good time. However, to be fair, I went Topgolf with my wife, and I held my daughter while we cheered for my wife as she swung, and there's nothing more valuable than that. Like, there's nothing I could buy that is better than that.
Look at Tim becoming a big mush. I love it.
And a dad.
I love it.
You know what I'm saying?
Can't say
Yup, and
nothing.
all the...
Your little squish person looks up at you with that tiny little smile, man. Ain't nothing like it.
Guys out there who have kids are going like, I know it. And everyone says, well, cherish it now
Call
because it
me
goes
out
quick.
immediately.
You know, a couple of years she'll be walking around doing her own thing. You know what I mean? But for now, you know, I get to hold the baby while she waves at mom, and mom is playing golf, and it's fun. There's nothing more valuable than that. That's why I feel really bad, because I, you know, talking about like all the dating stuff.
Yep.
I was like, you know, the way I see my wife holding my daughter, and like the joy she has, it is it is euphoria beyond euphoria to be like to see like I don't feel nearly as much as whatever my wife must be feeling holding that baby, and I love my daughter, but women have a special powerful bond, and I'm like, the idea that society told women not to experience this is criminal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's wild, right?
Terrifying.
Dude, feminism,
have
I've
to
said it
agree.
before, bro. It's literally probably
There's
one of the
nothing
worst
like
things
having a baby.
we could have ever experienced humanity-wise. And the problem with feminism, it's like the Trojan horse to all the other progressive problems.
I can't go anywhere with my baby without women running up and going, ooh, and then like my wife is giggling, and they're like, how old is she? Oh my God. We went to a diner over the weekend, and all the servers ran over to come look at the new baby, and I'm like, it's because babies are awesome.
Yeah.
And there's this, you know what it is? We don't have a lot of time to get into all the feminism stuff, but we talked about it before. Who's the most likely to end up working as a writer? Women are more likely to get jobs in journalism.
Yep.
And if a woman is working, she's less likely to have a family.
Yep.
So you're getting this opinion skewed towards working women, releasing all the media to other women, telling them work is good.
Yeah, and I've said it before. Like they enable bad behavior. Like with women, it's like if you're fat or annoying, like no one tells you you're fat and you're annoying. It's like you're perfect and you're a queen and you deserve the world.
Would there be? Like if you knew Trump was going to get in and expose you and his people had been screaming it, wouldn't you be like, Biden, get rid of it now?
They had 4 years to. If there was anything, yeah, it would have.
Let's say this. Hypothetical scenario. The U.S., the Five Eyes spies, totally not involved in anything Epstein was doing. Epstein had all this blackmail. And
back
the
to normal?
Biden administration
Yeah,
would not
that's
be in
playing
any
again
way
today.
implicated by it at all.
Whoops.
They knew other people would be. It could be as simple as them saying, we don't want Trump to be able to blackmail people, so get rid of it. Like, even in the, like,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The
From
left-
the prior administration.
the left is making the argument when I said I think Democrats destroyed it. They're like, Tim won't admit that Trump is on it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he might be. I don't know. I doubt it because the Democrats would have released it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Democrats, if they're implicated by it, or if Trump could wield it as a weapon, don't want him to have it. Either way,
Yeah.
they have reason to get rid of that evidence.
Well, that's why I don't think.
Yes. The reason they have more reason to get rid of it than anything else is because if there was something in it they could use, they would have already. So the only stuff that's left is stuff that could possibly be used on them. Some of them, somewhere. Even if it's not like the person that's looking at it directly, they're like, this person's on my team, so there's like literally no benefit for them to keep that around if they're trying to play this like team games bullshit.
Whatever comes out is even the fullness of what comes out. We can't even get full COVID studies.
I
You know? I mean, like there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole intelligence community exists for the guardian of intelligence. They're not going to release what you don't want. They don't want to release. We can't get the truth of gain of function research,
Here's what I don't get, though.
and that was just a couple years ago.
The Trump admin has carte blanche right now to go after literally anybody he wants.
They have to play it.
Trump effectively has the death note. He could create a list and just put his enemies on it and be like, here's the Epstein list, and drop it on the table. And then people are going to say, no, look, if the Trump admin issued an unsigned...
Please, as funny as that is, and as much as that would actually get rid of the people that I don't like that are in the government, please do not start making up charges on people. Because that only goes one direction. Please do not start making up charges on people. There is no way it's going to go in your benefit. Once you open that can of worms, everybody's head is on a fucking platter. Do not do that. At all. I cannot stress it enough. Do not make shit up. Don't.
undated memo saying this is the Epstein list, and it was literally just a list of Trump's enemies, people would be like, this is it, this proves it. Like, he could do it.
When was the Trump raid on Mar-a-Lago?
Please do not.
It was
all like
2 or
Democrat.
3 years ago in the summer.
Yeah.
It was yeah, I think it was like
August of 2022.
yeah.
So, all right. So at this point in the Biden administration, that hadn't happened yet. 6 months into the Biden administration, but the J6 hearings had already started. Right. So if Trump wanted to be as vindictive, my point is, if he wanted to be as vindictive as the Biden administration was, what had Biden done by now? 6 months in?
Oh, I see your perspective.
Who had been arrested?
Right.
Peter Navarro was already shackled and dragged out of Reagan Airport by now.
This is how I know.
Steve Bannon was in jail by now.
This is how I
We
know.
do have the Brennan investigation and Comey.
Sure.
investigation going on.
And those are good things, but this is how I know the Trump admin's not evil.
No.
Trump could literally just be like, give me a list of 50 names that we don't like between business, politicos, activists. I don't know, give me 100 names. And then we'll just release this as our formalized DOJ official statement of the names we believe were involved. And then they can sue. Good luck. Like, Trump could do that. Like, the amount of power Trump has in just naming anybody without evidence doesn't even matter if he gives evidence
Yeah,
or not.
I mean, you could definitely, when you guys spin it like that, I mean, yeah, you could have absolutely, went on retribution. Because the thing is, I've even said it, like, they tried to destroy him. I covered all of his criminal cases extensively, and the one that really had me the most worried that I think would have jammed them up was the classified document case, actually.
Yeah.
Because people were saying, oh, yeah, it's classified. He could declassify it. Dude, it's NDI, National Defense.
That was the one thing that I was absolutely not worried about for any period of time. Is the national documents shit, because he was the president. Like, what the fuck he talking about? The president can just say something. Like, if he read a classified document right now, right, and then went on stage and read that out loud to everybody in the country, he has that authority. He is the man. Like the man. There is nobody above him who he has to ask for permission. That's what the president gets to do. Like,
information, you're cooked. Like, it doesn't matter what the classification is.
We're going to go to the uncensored portion of the show at rumble.com/TimcastIRL. So smash the like button, share the
That's
show.
my favorite part.
Join us over there, indeed. And if you want to call in, join our Discord server. Members of the Discord get to call in and talk to us on the show. At the DC Comedy Loft, we got Matan, Gavin McInnes joining me and Alex Stein to talk about whether or not Trump is still winning. A big liberal guest has expressed interest, and we're working out the details, trying real hard to get him. And I think once we announce who the guest is going to be, it's going to sell out instantly. Not because people want to go see the liberal; they want to see the liberal debate a conservative. And I think people are going to, if we can pull this off. But that being said, at these events, we've got 3 coming up at the DC Comedy Loft. You in the audience, regular ticket holder, can come.
Uh-oh. That's a babe. She just chatting or is she crying? Hopefully we can just boil. And then after you eat the boil, you get some soup. Yeah. Oh, hold on. Hold on, Daddy forgot a cloth. Daddy got a cloth. Nugget. A wobble. Okay. Let's get you some food. Here, watch your little elbow. Watch your little elbow. Lay back. No. Is it night time? Oh, is it Yankadaddy beard time? Yeah. There you go. Just don't pull the back. Yeah, that hurts. You can pull the front, that's fine. Daddy can't do nothing. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Here. Can I at least do stuff with this?
Come up and join the debate. We're gonna periodically be calling people to come up and actually debate on stage with us. So you definitely want to be there. It's gonna be weird.
Yeah,
You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Dan, do you want to shout anything out?
No, great to be with you. Daniel Turner, Power of the Future. Daniel Turner, PTF on Twitter. And if you want to follow the premier sheep farm of Virginia, Bristol Farm, Virginia, if you want to see the most beautiful sheep in all of America, go check out our sheep farm.
Right on.
Myron Gaines X everywhere. X, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, everywhere. Stream every day, Monday through Friday, and Sundays, 5 p.m. The debrief.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm Alad Eliyahu. You could find my White House reporting, or recently it's been covering immigration raids. You can find my stuff on Twitter and Instagram at Alad Eliyahu. Thanks for tuning in.
We will see you all over at rumble.com/TimcastIRL. Thanks for hanging
You
out.
cover my whole pinky now. Yeah. Well, that felt like it cut off in the middle of a sentence. Yeah, Daddy didn't hear what he was saying last, but that really sounded like he got cut off there. Kinda. My mouse. Shark mouth. What? That's so mean. Wow. Oh, I guess that guy got arrested.
The Long Island Auditor Channel. And I've watched Roland Mumford with Mumford.law. I wanted to do a video discussing this arrest.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the video that already happened. I thought you meant the guy came and arrested him again. Not the stupid shit where they arrested him and let him go. I thought you were saying he was like arrested. What the fuck is Isn't that what the, oh, well, we won't get that here.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
But, that's what the, Asus ZenBook Duo does. I don't think it's like a bendy screen. Like, I don't think it bends in the middle like that, but it's a dual screen laptop thing where the bottom can either be a keyboard or you take the keyboard off and there's a secondary screen that can be like a digital touchscreen keyboard or just a secondary screen for touch input, whatever you want to do. What in the fuck? Wow, this song is really fucking annoying. What the fuck?
Damn it. I should have asked Goku to teach me how to sense ki energy, too. Now, how am I supposed to find them? Oh, that's where they are.
Literally none of these people have any shot at them stopping. And it's really just that they're lazy. It's funny in the comedy sense. Like, I don't sit around thinking about that badass, like, I don't know, this is one of the big shows, but he's the strongest guy ever. That's why don't think Goku investing in the Leaf or Superman, like, people that actually have limitations are far more interesting. It makes them have to be way more clever with their abilities.
Not bad. For a couple of monkeys. Now, let's see how you handle me at 100%.
What? All this time he wasn't at his full power?
Yeah, this is like nothing.
So, what do you think of my newfound power? Was it too much? I hope I didn't overdo it and kill all of you monkey already. Because it would be a shame to see all of you die so quickly. You see, I haven't had enough fun torturing all of you monkeys yet.
Get punched in the fucking
Damn
face
it!
and die.
I knew he's gotten stronger, but I had no idea he would be this
That Thomas is
powerful.
gonna pop up and he's gonna be like, yes, no.
What the?
It looks like our backup has arrived.
Backup? You called Krillin for backup?
Krillin?
What? No, that's not Krillin. His name is Saitama. I fought with him before. He likes fighting with strong opponents, too. That's why I invited him here.
Come on. Use your burpees.
Bald? And with that outfit?
Isn't he that little bald guy I kill on planet Namek? How come he looked taller than before?
Wait, don't tell me.
He is still growing! Damn it, so not fair!
Hey, Goku. Is that Pipsqueak the very strong monster you were telling me about?
You little weakling!
Is he fucking Edward Elric?
Get ready for your second death.
Being called a Pipsqueak? Not.
What the f***,
Saitama doesn't throw
Who
kicks.
the
What
hell
fuck are
is
you
this
doing?
guy?
I've already told you. His name is Saitama. This guy's strength and stamina were already incredible, even without knowing how to control his ki. So, imagine if he could master ki control and were to be trained to become a warrior like us. This is the result of his training. It's a new and improved version of Saitama. I guess we can now call him Super Saitama!
Super fucking lame. He is the strongest. He cannot get stronger. They're trying to present some other stupid fucking mode. It's dumb as hell. Yeah, I'm not interested in that now. If it was like Saitama for just him by himself versus the people, that'd be cool, but like, I don't need him to have some other dumb shit. Isn't this one plus? Bro. You look... you look like you're on something, my guy.
Bleach is a show about a spiky, orange-haired high school anime boy that's 15 years old but looks 25, named Ichigo Kurosaki. He has the ability to see dead people, and neither he nor his family ever really questioned why. I guess they just chose to think of it as undiagnosed schizophrenia. Anyway, one day, a mysterious girl shows up at his house, and she turns out to be a Soul Reaper, or Shinigami if you want to be a weeb about it. Her name is Rukia. And she tells Ichigo it's her job to usher the souls of the dead into the next world called the Soul Society. There are two types of ghosts, holes and assholes. Wait, sorry, holes and hollows. Don't look at me, I didn't pick these Kingdom Hearts ass names. Holes are your typical friendly ghosts. These are the ones that Ichigo usually deals with on a daily basis. But they don't mean any harm. They usually just tell Ichigo classified state secrets. These ghosts need a little help in order to get into the afterlife, and that means getting a little bonk on the head with the Heaven Hammer. Hollows are ghosts that miss the bonk bus one too many times and turn into violent man-eating monsters. One such hollow is in the area, and Rukia is trying to hunt it down, but it could be anywhere.
Rukia! Do you do happy face rubs?
Rukia, help me!
Rukia winds up getting her ass blasted defending Ichigo, and in a last-ditch effort to save their lives, she transfers all her powers into him. And bam! Ichigo is now a Soul Reaper, complete with his own goth samurai clothes and comically large anime sword. Ichigo defeats the Hollow and saves the day, but is then informed that he kinda stole all of Rukia's Soul Reaper juice and she can't go home now. So now it's up to Ichigo to take up the mantle of Soul Reaper and fight to protect his friends and family from Hollows. And also she needs a place to stay, so she's gonna live in his closet. It should have been me, goddammit! Speaking of Ichigo's friends, we have Orihime, a female classmate that actually does start off with a fun and well-rounded personality, but eventually just focuses on her fun and well-rounded personalities, if you know what I'm saying. Watch in real time as all plot relevance and character development slowly transfers from Orihime's character and goes into making her boobs bigger every time she shows up on screen. We also have
that
Chad,
actually a
the
thing?
tall, strong, silent type whose job it is to have the most wasted potential on this show. Finally, Ishida, the serious glasses-wearing dork that fights using a bow and arrow. He also stops being relevant about 50% through the story. Noticing a theme here. That is, until the author decides to give Ishida one last chance at plot relevance by making him turn evil and join
back to whatever the fuck this bullshit is.
in the villain team. Even though anyone with functioning eyeballs could tell he was just pretending to be evil. I seriously don't understand what his game plan was, and he honestly would have gotten more done by just writing a strongly worded letter instead. Now's a good time to talk about the power system in Bleach. You see, every Soul Reaper has a sword called a Zanpakuto. They all start off as normal katanas, but then digivolve into something called a Shikai. At this point, the sword looks drastically different and comes with some kind of special ability. One sword can create ice attacks, another can stretch out like a whip and attack from a distance, and some are completely worthless. In each
Do you even know what Ikaku's Bankai does? Okay.
Ichigo's case, he goes from big anime sword to big anime sword that looks like a kitchen knife. And as far as his sword special ability, it looks like a big kitchen knife.
That is not what his sword's special ability is.
And for the characters that actually matter, Zanpakuto have the ability to go even further beyond and digivolve into its most powerful form, Bankai. I'm not gonna lie, Bankai is the coolest part of Bleach.
Okay. I'll let that slide because the Bankai parts are pretty badass. That's not everything.
Bankais are usually just a stronger version of the Shikai. So ice attacks turn into more powerful ice attacks, whip sword turns into big bamboo snake whip sword, and some are completely worthless. In
Okay.
Ichigo's case, instead of a special Bankai gimmick, Ichigo instead gains massive stat buffs to his speed and strength. Super strength and speed that become completely outclassed and irrelevant.
That's not... None of this is accurate.
Immediately after that first fight. I'm serious, the show spends like the first 2 major arcs building Ichigo up as this prodigy with limitless potential not seen in...
I mean, yeah, that's kind of how most of these stories go, though.
thousands of years, and then spends the next 2 major arcs introducing his face to his ass over and over again.
Arguably, he kicks far more ass than his ass gets kicked. Just saying. Especially after he starts... Like, once he hits Bankai, basically everything after that has no shot.
In addition to Zanpakutos, we also have holification. Certain characters, Ichigo, have the ability to put on a hollow mask which gives them a huge burst of strength. In Ichigo's case, he can only use it for 11 seconds. That means...
How much of this show have you seen? Do you even know, like, the lore for, like, half of this shit at all? Are you just making this up?
he gets 11 seconds of being a badass before it shatters and then...
It's not even like the fact that it's badly explaining. Like, it's just wrong. It's literally not even right. Like...
Eventually, Ichigo is able to maintain it for as long as he wants. And once he accomplishes this, he immediately stops using it altogether for some reason. Not because he can't use it, but because... I don't know, he doesn't wanna. But what good is a hero without a villain to fight? Bleach has plenty to choose from. In the first major arc, we have battle-hungry psychos, mad scientists that perform human experiments, and worst of them all, furries. Then in the next major arc, we have battle-hungry psychos, mad scientists that perform human experiments, and worst of them all, furries. But if you want to talk Bleach villains, the biggest, baddest bitch of them all is Aizen. A character that has so many plans and contingencies, it makes Light Yagami look like a mouth-breathing caveman. Aizen is strong enough to take on and single-handedly defeat several captains with...
Aizen can by himself take everybody in the entire Soul Society with the exception of maybe the Big Five and Soul King himself. What are you talking about? Like, literally all of them. Like, probably at once. Especially after, like, towards the end with the 1,000-year blood arc. Like, he can definitely take all of them at once. Like, not even a question.
Very little effort. On top of that, he has the most broken ability in the entire show, Kyokatsuigetsu, aka Complete Hypnosis. Here's how it works. If you look at his sword when he activates the ability, he can control all 5 of your senses to make you see and feel whatever he wants. It never goes away, and there are no drawbacks or limitations to how many people he can use it on. Meaning, he can make you watch all of Bleach's filler.
And the best part about it is that he doesn't have to do anything to activate it. And it's activated automatically as soon as you witness his Shikai, which is completely, like, impossible if you're ever going to fight him to not do. Unless you're, like, fighting with your eyes closed somehow.
Episodes and you can't do shit about
But
it.
again, with Aizen, you're not gonna fight with your eyes closed. It's not happening.
With an ability this strong, you might be wondering how anyone could possibly get around it. And the answer is, they don't. Turns out, Ichigo was able to defeat him because he never actually saw Kyokatsuigetsu in the first place, so he couldn't be hypnotized. Just imagine if he did, though. Wow, you're a pretty good kisser, Ichigo. Too bad that also makes you... a homosexual.
Okay, that was pretty good. As annoying as everything else has been, it was worth it for that.
But I know what you're thinking. If Ichigo only won because he never saw its activation, why wouldn't Aizen at least try to use it on him when he was about to lose? Or for that matter, why didn't Aizen use his Bankai at any point in the story? That's a good question. Watch as each
because he didn't need to. If anybody who watches my stream at all and feels like trying to comment, go into the story and show me the point at which Aizen ever needed to activate his Bankai.
major arc introduces
Show
an
me where it was
insane number of
necessary
new
for
characters
anything
that will
you
take
wanted to
any
do.
existing character arcs and throw them in the trash. Ever want to know more about the sexy fireworks lady with the one arm and the huge tits? Too bad, you're never going to see her again until almost the end of the manga. Did you ever want to see if the pretty boy Soul Reaper Yumichika ever gets his secret found out by Kenpachi and Ikaku? A secret he was literally willing to die for? Nah, no time for that. Here's two freaks and a child that turns into a sexy lady with huge tits. Throw these.
That's actually the reverse. It's a normal adult lady that got injured, and then that lady became the child, not the other way around. So
Two out, keep the tits. Throw her out too, fuck it. How about Urahara? You know, the walking MacGuffin that solves any problem with hand-wavy anime science? He has this constant air of shadiness that never really goes.
and you actually have no idea how fucking crazy this man's abilities are until you actually get to like the 1,000-year Blood War shit, because like this man's abilities are just broken. Like, he can literally just rebuild himself if you kill him.
Goes away, and it feels like he's one plot twist away from becoming a villain. Perhaps we could have used the plotline fully exploring this.
He is neither a villain nor a hero. He just does stuff to know stuff. Like, he's just a scientist. That's what he is. He's their scientist. Like,
Shittiness.
he just
But instead, we get shit like this. Hope you kids enjoyed the ice cream. Enjoy it while you can, that is. Because it'll melt in the sun, of course. And because it's the last time you'll get to eat it. Since that was the last one in my fridge, you see. The ice cream is made of souls from a failed experiment 1,000 years ago in the Soul Society. Would you shut up? All of this culminating in an ending so rushed and unsatisfying it makes Jujutsu Kaisen's ending look like Breaking Bad. There was some behind-the-scenes thing going on at Shonen Jump while the final arc was being written where, long story short, the manga got cancelled and cut short right at the finish line. Moments that should have been huge and hype, like Ichigo finally revealing his final Bankai, gets King Crimsoned out of existence and you never even get to see what it actually does. Yuha Baha, who at this point was an unbeatable reality-warping god that could see and counter any and all possible futures, was defeated by a Deus Ex Machina he could not see coming, because the story needed to be over now. And Chad gets sidelined one last time because fuck you, that's why.
Oh, yeah, I guess that is a complaint that I have. Chad really didn't get to do shit at the end. It was really sad.
I'm currently on the run from Shonen Jump Hitman. Yes, that's a real thing. They're telling me I need to end the video prematurely. But before that happens, please like the video and subscribe to my channel.
Oh god, how many of these do you have?
Solo Leveling is a show about a scrawny, weak, broke, friendless virgin named Sung Jin Woo.
See, this one
Finally, a protagonist I can relate to. He lives in a world where gateways to other dimensions appear out of nowhere and house all manner of monsters. Goblins, orcs, furries, the works. At the same time, a select few members of humanity awaken to become superhumans known as Hunters. Hunters are assigned a ranking from E to S to measure their power level, with E rank being only slightly stronger than the average human being, and S rank turning you.
I also don't understand their system of measurement. Because with the show, like, towards the later parts, even the S ranks, among the S ranks, there's different ranks, so, like...
Into Goku. Our boy Sung Jin Woo is a special case because he's the protagonist, and that means he's got that dog in him. No, it turns out he's the world's weakest E rank, meaning he would probably lose a fight against 3 kids in a trench coat or an especially tight jar of pickles. Because of this, he's always getting hurt working a crappy mining job in those dimensional gateways to pay the medical bills for his mother's terminal anime parent disease. One day, after a typical day of Jinwoo getting critically injured from a warm breeze, there's a second gate that appears within the first gate. Going against protocol, Jinwoo's hunting group decides to investigate without calling it in. And I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
Oh god, everyone is dead!
Turns out the secret double dungeon was an S-rank dungeon with a giant statue
Only
of
most
God
of
in the
them.
center. This God starts
Some
killing
of them
everybody one
escape.
by one with his laser eyes. Jinwoo realizes that God only attacks when you don't follow the commandments written on this stone tablet. Okay, let's see here. Worship God, okay. Through dance? You don't seriously mean... Aw, look how happy he is. Most of the group dies, a few manage to escape, but Jinwoo stays behind as the last man standing. He lost his leg, most of his blood, his dignity. Well, he never had that, but he lost his leg.
They fucking chop him up, they beat his ass, they cut him in half.
And right before the final blow is struck, he manages to survive the time limit. A mysterious video game-looking menu appears in front of him. Jinwoo agrees to the terms and conditions and turns into a player. Also, it's just gonna ask you a quick question if that's okay. So basically, in this world, once you awaken as a hunter and are assigned a rank, like E rank for example, you are stuck as that rank for the rest of your life. And you can't get any stronger no matter how much you train. But because he became a player, Jinwoo is the only person in the world that can level up and grow stronger like he's in a video game. The video game thing is further exemplified by things like floating menus only he can see, daily quests where he has to do the workout routine from One Punch Man, or else. And there's even a virtual store he can open to buy gear and supplies from, using the materials he earns from killing monsters. Also, it's just gonna ask you a quick question if that...
Wait. Did I turn the volume down? Okay. Goon helmet, goon gauntlet, and goon sock.
Supplies from, using the materials he earns from killing monsters. Also, it's just gonna ask you a quick question if that's okay. As Jinwoo levels up, not only does he get stronger, but his appearance and personality completely changes.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. Alright, I'm gonna get off here. Oh, I'll see you.